Keith Ellison, Steve Simon, and let us say that our ticket, with support, as Richard mentioned, those numbers, with support, people voting across the strong Democrats, strong independents, moderate Republicans, let us just say our ticket is united, unlike some people we know. The people of Minnesota have made it clear that they are fired up to participate in democracy. So much so that they set a new record. For the first time, more than 1 million Minnesotans cast ballots in the primary last week, and 700,000 chose our ticket. It is clear that Minnesotans are serious about what's going on right now in this country and serious about our democracy. Today, we stand united to let Minnesota know that our ticket is serious and serious about delivering results. We are ready to work. Thank you, Tina. We are ready to work and ready to stand up for our state. And we are ready to win in November. Trust is not given in Minnesota. Trust is earned. And that trust comes with expectations, which is results. Results that you can see and feel in your life, results that make life affordable, results in expanding our economy with a growth agenda, results that will transform our government and root out the fraud, because you expect and deserve to expect leaders who deliver results and not excuses. Leaders who look for good ideas and new ways of doing things instead of political theater and punchlines. A vote for our ticket is a vote for solutions. It's a vote to take on the high costs impacting people across this country, and it's a vote for public servants who are not beholden to the man in the White House. We know up here that we have headwinds coming at us every single day. The tariffs eating away at your paychecks, the massive cuts to health care, the mess created by this president. Those headwinds may well be a constant, but they can never be an excuse. We will put Minnesotans first. And we are not going to be a rubber stamp of Donald Trump. That is what the other side. So as I look at our great legislators out here, raise your hands, legislative candidates, and our team, we know what's going on right now. There are a whole bunch of people running for state office, running in the legislature, people, Republicans, running nationally, who are afraid to break with Donald Trump. They won't speak out on the tariffs that are raising costs across the board. And we thank, by the way, Angie, for leading the fight in the House to end these tariffs. We have Republican candidates who won't speak out against the Medicaid cuts that hurt our rural hospitals and nursing homes. And I know who is going to stand up against those cuts, and that is Peggy Flanagan right now, who's going to stand up for people. There are Republican candidates who won't support extending the health insurance premium tax credits that Republicans and Donald Trump let expire. As you know, and I have made clear, as your governor, if Washington won't act, I will make sure that we have a state tax credit to help people afford their health care premiums, because we cannot wait for these guys to do it. We have Republicans that won't even dare to speak out against the war in Iran, which is costing us in lives, in treasure, and yes, endless price spikes. Tina and I voted against Trump's war in Iran. We put our names on that vote. And yet we see our opponents running for statewide office who won't even put their names on a tweet saying this war is wrong. So while the other side is going to be focused on winning over Donald Trump, we will be focused on all of you, on lowering your health care costs, on making sure you can buy a home, on making it easier to start a business, to raise a family, on getting student achievement up and screen time in the classroom down, on more apprenticeships and more jobs for people across our state, and on rooting out the waste and the fraud and the abuse. If our opponents want to devote their energy to attacks instead of solutions, let them. If they want to avoid making the tough calls because the president might not like them for what they say, let them. That's not what we're going to do. And to the independents and moderate Republicans who didn't vote for these high costs, who didn't vote for this chaos, who didn't vote for this corruption from Donald Trump, and didn't vote for all of the problems he creates every single day, we ask you to join us. It has been a high privilege to serve alongside Tina and Angie in Washington. And as Minnesotans decide who they want to succeed you, I think the choice is clear. Together, we're going to make our case strong between now and November 3rd. That's the day. And we're going to earn every vote, voter by voter, street by street, neighborhood by neighborhood, town by town, and yes, in the 7th District. We are going to work every single vote, and we are going to win this election. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much for joining us here on Fox 9 all day. It's great to be with you on this Thursday. It is 2:07 right now, and I'm Simone Bullridge. Just wanted to jump right in here because we have an event going on right now. This is for DFLers meeting for a unity rally. It is happening right now. Of course, we know the primary elections are behind us, so now politicians are now looking ahead to the general election, which will happen in November. We were just listening in to Amy Klobuchar over on Fox 9 all day over on our linear side of things, so we wanted to take you there here on streaming. Senator Tina Smith speaking right now. Let's listen in.
And I want to start by thanking Angie Craig. Angie is a tenacious leader. She is dedicated to our state, and I am so grateful for your strong support for Peggy Flanagan and our entire DFL ticket as we unite to elect Peggy Flanagan to the United States Senator and Amy Klobuchar to be our next governor. And there is a reason why Minnesotans are supporting these leaders, because they are fierce fighters, because they are not afraid to rock the boat, and they are not afraid to challenge the status quo, to deliver results for our state and for our nation. And, you know, there is a big debate happening right now about what kind of leaders Minnesota and Americans want. Do they want somebody who's more progressive, or do they want somebody who's more moderate? Well, here's the thing. The answer really is that we want fighters. We want winners who have the courage to take on the big battles and then the skill to go out and get it done. And that is why I am so proud to support Peggy Flanagan and Amy Klobuchar. These women don't just fight the hard fights, they go out and win them, and they have the tenacity and the work ethic to turn talk into action. And they have the deep understanding of Minnesota that is required if we're going to represent the interests of all of us and not just the rich and powerful. Because I can tell you, all over this state, people are working harder and harder, and they are still struggling to afford their lives. We live in the richest country in the world, and there's plenty of money in this country. The question is, who's getting it? And that is the problem that more and more people across this country and across this state are seeing. Regular people can't find the money to pay their bills, their doctor's bills and their rent. But 100 billionaire families had enough money to put $2.4 billion into the elections last year. I mean, this isn't a Republican or a Democratic issue. This is an American issue. This is a Minnesota issue. People can see that this system is rigged and they want change. And the change and the choice could not be more clear. Amy Klobuchar and Peggy Flanagan and all of our tickets. Now, I want to just tell you about two examples of where the choice could not be more clear. When it comes to whether or not a woman should have the freedom to make her own decisions about her health care, including abortion. Lisa Damoth's position on abortion is extreme. She was the chief author of the 2023 bill that would have banned abortion in Minnesota, and she supported a state constitutional amendment defining life as beginning at conception. That's an abortion ban. And Michelle Tafoya is trying to tell us that she is pro-choice, but really? Tafoya has said, and I quote, "I am completely aligned with Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, on this issue of abortion." She said, "Those who support him should have every confidence in supporting me as well." And she has said that the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision, which took abortion rights away from millions of American women, that decision was rightly decided. And she also said, and she has pledged to confirm, and I quote, "conservative, strict constructionist judges." Okay, folks? That means that she's going to confirm judges that will take away your abortion rights. And I can tell you, as the only United States Senator who has ever worked for Planned Parenthood, I will do everything I can to make sure that Michelle Tafoya is never in a position to confirm a Donald Trump judge. Elections are always about choices and which candidates voters believe are really going to fight for them, for their interests, for the kind of Washington and the kind of America that people want. And this DFL team, Amy Klobuchar, Peggy Flanagan, Keith Ellison, Steve Simon, Zach Flipovich, this is our team. And they are ready to build a strong coalition for change in every corner of this state and to win this election and to deliver results for Minnesotans. So let's do it, and let's do it together.
She defended us in Washington in the House of Representatives and has been a strong fighter for all Minnesotans. Please welcome Congresswoman Angie Craig.
Well, good afternoon, DFLers. It's great to be with all of you here today, and I'm honored to be in this fight with every single one of you. As I look around this room, I see incredible candidates, organizers, and labor volunteers who are ready to take on Republicans and win up and down the ballot in November. You know, primaries are tough. In this big tent party, Democrats sometimes have different ideas about how to achieve the goals that we share. But those differences pale in comparison to the contrast with Republicans, who almost always reject these goals altogether. Goals like universal health care, like universal child care, or feeding our hungry neighbors. So today, we turn the page. We come together and we get back to the job at hand, beating Republicans. I want to congratulate the Lieutenant Governor on her victory and a hard-fought campaign. Peggy and I competed hard because we both care deeply about Minnesota. I respect her commitment to this state, the people she fights for, and the barriers that she has broken throughout her career. We may not agree on every issue or every approach, but we agree on far more than we disagree. And I am going to do everything that I can to help elect Peggy Flanagan to the United States Senate this November. And as we look to the future, I also want to take a moment to say thank you to Senator Tina Smith for her years of service to Minnesota. Tina has served our state with compassion and a deep commitment to improving the lives of Minnesotans. Thank you, Tina, for everything you've done for this great state. And all I'm going to say about Senator Amy Klobuchar is that she is going to be the next governor of Minnesota. She has been a terrific senator for this state, and she is going to make an outstanding governor. And we are also going to hold the congressional seat that I've had the extraordinary privilege of representing in November. You know, in Washington, as the ranking Democrat on the House Ag Committee, I fought tooth and nail against this administration's cuts to SNAP. Cuts that have already taken food away from 1.5 million children, and in total, 5 million children, seniors, and families just struggling to get by. That's not who we are. Democrats believe that when a neighbor is struggling, you don't turn your back on them, you lend a hand. And you build an economy where hard work allows people to get ahead in the damn first place. That's the alternative we need to offer Minnesotans this November. A year ago, I traveled across Minnesota into Republican congressional districts because their own members of Congress weren't showing up and holding town halls. Democrats came, Republicans came, independents came, and they all wanted the same thing. They wanted somebody to listen. I told them that what I believe still today, if your elected leaders won't show up, they won't listen to you and take your concerns back to Washington, that we will. That's how Democrats win. We show up everywhere. We listen to everyone, and then we deliver. Because this party is about more than what we're against. We're for working people who deserve a decent wage and a fair shot. We're for farmers and small businesses trying to make it. We're for seniors who should not have to choose between prescription drugs and their groceries. And we're for families who work hard, who play by the rules and just want to know that their kids will lead a better life. Of all the incredible people who keep me going every single day, nobody inspires me more than my 3 grandsons and my 4th grandson on the way. When I look at them, and I spent plenty of time looking at and playing with them over the last week, I'm reminded of what we are fighting for, the country that we're going to leave them, the opportunities that they will have, and the democracy that they will inherit. The primary is behind us. Today, we are on the same page, and we have a job to do for the country we want and for the future our children and grandchildren deserve. It's an honor to be in this fight with you. It will be an honor to help elect Senator Amy Klobuchar as the next governor and Peggy Flanagan to the United States Senate. And maybe, just maybe, Tina and I will go sit on a beach together. Thank you so much.
She's been a great lieutenant governor, and she's going to be our next senator. Please welcome Peggy Flanagan.
Thank you. Thank you, DFLers. Thank you so much. And thank you, Richard, for leading our party and for knocking on an incredible amount of doors. And we are just getting warmed up, so thank you. Thank you so much to our Senator, Amy Klobuchar, for your incredible leadership, your just dedication and tenacity. And I cannot wait to hit the trail with you to get you elected as our next governor. And of course, thank you to our Senator Tina Smith, who is, she's a badass, who has led with incredible conviction and clarity, always knowing who she represents and who she fights for. So thank you so much, Senator Smith. And of course, thank you to Congresswoman Angie Craig. For your gracious words, for your support, for running one hell of a campaign, and for being here with us today. The work that you have done on behalf of Minnesotans is an incredible legacy, and we are all so much better for it. Thank you. And Angie and I are proud Democrats who love this state. We love this country, and we know that we have always agreed on DFL values that matter most, standing up for working families and helping Minnesotans to afford their lives. And for both of us, those values are personal. Angie and I both come from similar beginnings. We were both raised in families that didn't have much, by hardworking single moms who did everything they could to keep food on the table and to give their daughters a chance. And that taught me the government isn't just some distant or abstract thing. When it works, it can help keep a child fed, a family housed, or a kid with really bad asthma alive. And it taught me that every person deserves a real opportunity to build a better life. And that's what unites Congresswoman Craig and me. It's what being a DFLer is all about, fighting unapologetically for working people. And now that the primary is behind us, we are bringing that fight forward together. So to everyone who voted for Congresswoman Craig, I appreciate your voice. And I will bust my tail to earn your trust and to earn your votes, because we all need you in this fight. And to the independents and moderate Republicans who might not always agree with me on every issue, but to those who know that we deserve better than this chaos and cruelty and corruption that's coming out of Washington, I want you in this fight too. And our hero, Paul Wellstone, once said that I don't think politics has anything to do with left or right or center. It has to do with doing right by people. And if you believe in doing right by people, this is a place for you. There is a place for you in our campaign. And Donald Trump has cost our state far too much already, and we will not send him another loyal soldier in Michelle Tafoya. When Donald Trump's illegal war in Iran sent gas prices soaring, she told people to, quote, keep a stiff upper lip and take one less trip to Starbucks. A stiff upper lip and skipping a trip to Starbucks is not an economic plan. Neither is Trump's big ugly bill, which Tafoya supports, that ripped health care and food assistance from working families to give trillions of dollars in tax breaks to billionaires and corporations. We need a senator who's going to work for you, not Trump and the ultra-wealthy. And Michelle Tafoya wants Minnesotans to believe that she's pro-choice and that she's completely aligned with Donald Trump on abortion. At the Supreme Court rightly overturned Roe v. Wade. Those are her words, and I'm so grateful that Senator Smith reminded people where she actually stands. You can't call yourself pro-choice while celebrating the Dobbs decision that took away access to abortion. She even pledged to anti-choice Republicans that she would vote for conservative judges. We have Supreme Court justices that are over the age of 70, and we cannot send Tafoya to Washington to rubber stamp Trump's next anti-choice Supreme Court justice. And when ICE was terrorizing our neighbors and communities, Michelle Tafoya said, quote, "ICE treated children really, really well," unquote. And I say, well, tell that to Liam Conejo Ramos or to the children who were detained or separated from their parents. We don't need a senator who's fighting for what Trump wants. We need a senator who is fighting for what Minnesota families need. And what that means is truly affordable housing so that families can make the rent and young people can buy their first home. It means a right to repair so that farmers can fix their own damn equipment. It means ending prior authorization so that some dude behind a desk or an AI bot isn't overruling your doctor. It means passing Medicare for all to make healthcare available and affordable once and for all. It means universal child care. It means stopping ICE from terrorizing our communities, and it means fighting corruption, whether it's in the White House or the halls of Congress, because no president should be able to enrich themselves directly from the Oval Office. And we know that that's what putting Minnesota first looks like, using the power of government to make people's lives better for working people. It also starts with respecting the people you're asking to represent and being proud to call this state home. Michelle Tafoya recently said she's embarrassed to be from Minnesota. She's not from here, so I don't expect her to understand us. But in Minnesota, we look out for one another. We show up when our neighbors need us. We understand that we don't have to agree on everything to do right by one another. And that's the Minnesota that I know. That's the Minnesota that I love. And it's the Minnesota that I will fight for every single day in the United States Senate. And I have never been more proud to be a Minnesotan, friends. And now, we have 75 days to turn that pride into action. 75 days to knock doors, make calls, and earn every vote. 75 days to keep Minnesota blue and take back the United States Senate. And friends, we will use every one of those days to elect DFLers up and down the ballot. Amy Klobuchar as our next governor. Ben Shire as our next LG. Keith Ellison continuing to be our great Attorney General. The best Secretary of State in the country, Steve Simon. And our next auditor, Zach Filipovich. And we're also going to make sure that we elect Betty and Ilhan, Kelly, Jake, Matt, Trina, Doug, and Eric. And the DFLers running all across our state for our state legislature in every corner of Minnesota. And I am so grateful to be on this team, on this united ticket. We are so powerful when we stand shoulder to shoulder and fight together. So we are one team. When we organize together, we win together. Now let's go win this thing. Thank you so much. I think this is good.
Can we come down here?
Where do you want us?
Well, you were just listening to the DFL Unity Rally. You just heard from Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan there. Amy Klobuchar, Senator Amy Klobuchar in the House, along with Senator Tina Smith. Also, Representative Angie Craig. It was very interesting to hear because a lot of us see this on the campaign side of things. Of course, we're just coming off of a primary where we saw Flanagan and Craig sort of go head to head. But again, this was a unity rally trying to, get everyone together before we talk about the general election in November. But again, that happening right now. All right, we want to talk about what's coming up next because there is a proposal by ICE officers, ICE agents, to help protect legal officers local officers, I should say, who make immigration arrests. We wanted to talk about this because there is some new information that we have received this week. So we'll speak with a criminal defense attorney, We'll speak to a civil rights attorney. I want to get that right. Coming up right after the break. We'll be right back. Fox 9 all day. Great to have you with us this afternoon. Of course, if you have been living here, you heard of Operation Metro Surge, and we have sort of seen these discussions about local police departments' relationships or partnerships with ICE. I know during Operation Metro Surge, so many people had questions about what that looked like and what that relationship could look like moving forward. So now there's another conversation about the potential consequences for officers involved in immigration arrests. So this week we have some new information, and I just wanted to talk about this quite a bit today because we are learning about a proposal by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to help shield local police officers who make immigration arrests. And this is from possible financial consequences we're talking about here. So if they are accused of maybe on-duty misconduct, and specifically with liability insurance we're talking about. So we had a lot of questions about this, and you might have sort of these same questions too. So we wanted to bring in a civil rights attorney. This is Andrew Knoll joining me now to talk about this new proposal that we have. I just want to know, as an attorney and on that side of things, what's your reaction to this?
Well, the proposal is new, and I looked at what was available online in terms of the details surrounding the proposal. And when we talk about insurance, the details really matter because the proposal talks very vaguely about this type of insurance that might be available to cover officers, but it also caps the amount that the federal government is willing to reimburse officers at $250 a year for this proposed insurance. That's $20 a month. So if we think about that, and we usually apply the you get what you pay for model, you can't really buy a lot of types of insurance for $20 a month. So right away, I'm looking for more specificity about how much is this insurance going to pay and what is its utility compared to what it's going to cost.
And the reaction from, a community member may be, what's the difference between the insurance for a federal officer versus a local officer? What does that look like?
Sure. So a lot of our local officers in Minnesota are insured by what's called a pool of insurance. So the various cities and counties pool their money together, and they buy insurance policies to cover claims, excessive force, death claims, shooting claims, unreasonable searches, things like that. The agencies that don't have insurance would include the bigger ones like Minneapolis and St. Paul. So those agencies, if there's a claim or a lawsuit that gets paid out, it's coming straight from the city's bottom line versus an insurance claim that would cover the loss.
Would this proposal impact any officers here?
It certainly could. The issue that I see is, again, we need more details.
Right.
So I was able to locate a sample policy that, for more information about what types of things this might cover. And we do have a graphic, if we can pull up the graphic. So again, insurance, the details are what's important. And this is a sample federal employee insurance policy. This one talks about civil suit coverage of up to $1 million. The proposal from ICE limits it at $500,000. But if you read part of the policy, it says that this is in excess of whatever insurance the officer might carry him or herself already through his employer.
Okay.
So if the proposal is something like this, and we can take the graphic down, then it's not really saving the local municipality anything, because it only kicks in after the primary level of insurance has paid their money.
And a few numbers I wanted to mention. We know that nearly 1,600 local agencies in 32 states now partner with ICE. Immigration arrests by local partners jumped to 3,000 a month in early 2026, compared to about 250 a month in 2024 under Biden. So is this proposal about protecting officers from legitimate lawsuits, or does it, risk shielding officers from certain big events that people would say?
Well, two things on that. So anytime we're talking about using local law enforcement for federal immigration purposes, that does potentially raise a shield to certain types of liability, which I would be concerned about as a citizen. The second part of it is, I think that what the proposal may really be about is trying to engender that type of cooperation. Because we talk about offering insurance to law enforcement for cooperating with ICE enforcement. That sounds good. So it sounds like, oh yeah, this is going to help us want to cooperate with the federal government. But again, the devil is in the details. What type of conduct does it cover? Does it only cover after my initial insurance, or after the city, which has almost endless resources like Minneapolis, pays?
Yeah, I think someone might ask too, why does the federal side of things think that they need something, to separate the two, right? I think, so many people in the community here, of course,
Sure.
in the state of Minnesota, but across the country, have seen some of these events unfortunately play out, and even some of them still playing out in the courts right now. So if an officer is maybe accused of excessive force or wrongful arrest, who ultimately pays for that?
Right.
Is that the officer or is that the department? What does that look like?
So the idea with insurance is we spread out the risk to a bunch of different people, and we collect premiums to spread out that risk, and then we have to pay out one or two claims. We have the premiums to cover that. When it comes to law enforcement and the powers that they're given by our state constitution and the federal constitution, the best route to accountability, in my view, for law enforcement is to have the agency pay. So as opposed to having an insurance company pay the claims, have the agency itself, whether it's the federal government, local governments, the city of Minneapolis, the best route to accountability is to have them forced to pay for when their officers make mistakes.
Do you see this playing out to where down the line, since we do have this sort of extra layer of protection, where you might go on the other end of, there could be some things that could happen and we could see play out again, but there's protection. You know
Sure.
what I mean?
I think as long as, insurance works a lot of times.
Right.
So if you have an injured person and there's insurance available to cover that person, I think that could be a good thing.
Yeah.
My concern is, again, with the federal government offering to pay up to $250 a year for this insurance that they're proposing, I just worry about what the quality of that product is going to look like and if it's actually going to cover meaningful events. Because as we all know, insurance company, the policies are 100 pages long. They have exclusions, they have fine print, and we're bound by all that fine print, whoever signs up for it.
Who determines if an officer, doesn't abide by the conduct?
Sure. So ultimately, if there's a claim made against an ICE officer, it will generally be decided by a judge or in some cases a jury. So the issue is when a claim comes in, the agency has to examine and decide, well, do we think this claim has merit? Should we, try to resolve the claim by paying a certain amount of money? Or should we take it to a judge or a jury and have them decide, is the claimant right or are we right? And if we're right, then we don't have to pay.
So where this stands right now, this is just waiting to see, how far the proposal goes, or what are the next steps right now?
Exactly. So this is a proposal. They've put this out there to basically gain comments and input from outside providers, probably from outside insurance companies. And I think it's going to be very interesting to follow where this goes, because I think if an officer, on the street sees what could be offered to him or her for this low price, and they read the fine print or they have somebody read the fine print for them, I think they might be let down by what they find.
Yeah, there is something I wanted to ask you too. ICE agreements say local officers are acting under color of federal authority. What exactly does that protect them from, and what doesn't it affect them from?
So yes, acting under color of federal authority obviously is different than acting under color of state authority. The law enforcement that we're used to seeing on a daily basis in our towns and our communities and at City Hall, they're acting under color of state authority. So you have routes to accountability through the local government, potentially the state government. When we're acting under federal authority, your route to accountability is through the federal government. And that can present additional hurdles that aren't present when it comes to state and local actors.
So right now we are at the point where they're getting, talking to other insurance agencies and seeing how it goes, and I guess we'll just see how it sort of plays out from there.
We'll see. It'll be interesting to watch. And, if the sample policy that we showed earlier is a model, I think we have to be concerned about what is the value of this insurance actually something that means something significant for the law enforcement officials.
Okay, we'll wait to see what happens. Attorney Andrew Knoll joining us now to talk about this ICE insurance, this proposal, and hopefully we'll learn some more information soon. We appreciate your time.
Thanks
for joining us. It is 2:44 right now on your Thursday. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back after this. right, welcome back to Fox 9 All Day. Great to just have you along with us here this afternoon. A new fund is helping local filmmakers. That's always great, right? It's called the 10,000 Stories Fund, which is a new Minnesota film development program which is designed to help Minnesota filmmakers just get projects off the ground. A really important topic to talk about. So we wanted to bring in Nell Lorenz-Wareham, the Explore Minnesota Film Deputy Director, to talk about this and just to talk about the money and where it will be going and how people will benefit from it. So we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Let's just start by, just telling us where this idea came from and then how we have progressed to now.
So this idea comes from, feedback that we've heard from filmmakers, no matter what stage they're in. Getting the first money in and getting that stamp of approval is so meaningful. And so at Explore Minnesota Film, we really wanted to distinguish ourselves in the state as a place that's welcoming and that's supportive of artists and filmmakers of every stripe and welcome them here.
Yeah, and some information we have, the program selected 10 Minnesota-connected filmmaking teams, right, for its inaugural round, and each team receives $10,000 to help develop its project. What are some of the things that people can use these funds for?
They can use it for location scouting. They'll be paired with a mentor. They'll be able to use that time to work with their team. Oftentimes when you're developing a project, you don't have time to, pay a producer, pay for archival research, the things that really go into making a great story excellent.
Yeah, because when you think about before production, you talk about writing, you talk about, just finding locations for scenes and things like that. Tell us sort of the timeline of how long those things can take and then how much money they could potentially cost people.
It's a great question. Good films can take anywhere from, I would say, 2 to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And so we're giving folks about a year to work on just the development piece, which really, like I said, distinguishes a good film from a great film. And then for expenses, we see films, even if they are at that $1 million threshold, still taking quite a while to develop before they reach our office. And so we are using this program to reach out to folks early and sort of have them choose Minnesota by supporting them at that early critical stage.
I'm just curious, what do you find that the most struggle, where's the most struggle? Is it just like getting things off the ground? Is it paying for certain things? Where are people needing the help?
It's really honestly about getting that stamp of approval and having people believe in you. Talented storytellers, like I said, we've got folks in here that have won the Academy Award, that have won the Spirit Award, the Nickel Award. Vastly talented folks. It doesn't get easier to raise money, and especially as our media landscape changes, it just gets harder and harder. So we're having Minnesota be a solution.
And location scouting, I know, is one of the important kind of roles of the project too. But thinking about weather in Minnesota, right? It's not always great. we sometimes get snow and all the things. This would help with that, though, right?
It would help.
Huh. Okay. And how does this sort of set filmmakers up for larger projects? If you think, some of us, we start small and you go to those smaller projects, but when you eventually sort of graduate and do those larger films or maybe go out of state somewhere, how does this sort of set them up for that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, for example, we've got folks like Ali Salim. His last feature film was Sweetland, but he's been directing Marvel episodic projects all the way through. This is going to be his second feature film. And so we are supporting people who are very experienced as well in this program, but want to, start that next exciting project. So this helps set folks up who will be in the same cohort as Ali, with people who are making their first film, or people who are working as a cinematographer, bringing a project that could shoot anywhere to shoot here in Minnesota.
Yeah, you mentioned a name there, and we were just going to get to that. Who are the kinds of people who are applying for this grant, and what kind of projects are they working on, or what do they want to work on in the future?
Yeah, there's a range. We've got a really great Indigenous-led digital comedy series that I'm really excited about called Kitchigimi Gazette. And then we've also got projects called Nothing to Hide, which is a queer comedy based on a bachelorette party that goes wrong that I'm looking forward to. And then
kind of gives Bridesmaids a little bit.
Yes,
I like
a little
that.
bit. It's going to be messy. It's going to be fun. Yeah.
Love a little mess. Mess makes for great TV.
It does.
When you talk about sort of some of these films, are we talking anything from comedy, animation, or is it a wide range of variety?
It's a wide range. For example, that series Kitchigimi will use animation as well as real life capture.
Yeah. And where do you see this going? I mean, we have, you said 10 teams, right? Where do you see this going down the line? And do you think that there will be something else implemented to where you could possibly help other filmmakers in different ways?
Right. So we hope that all of these projects will go on to use the film tax credit. They will move from development to production, in which case we can shepherd them on to the next stage. And then, we hope that streamers will pick up the projects. We hope that they will look at Minnesota as the next place to film their next series or a bigger feature film. And then also, we hope that these projects will go to festivals that tour around the country and the world.
When we take a look at the money, and for those who, may not know much about filmmaking or what all it takes, when we talk about the expenses, what do we look at as far as how much something will cost? Mm-hmm. And what is the maybe highest cost, and what lane or avenue in continuing on down to the bottom?
Mm-hmm. Well, what we see is oftentimes independent filmmakers, they will make sure that everyone else is paid and they won't pay themselves. And so we are trying to recognize the amount of work it takes to develop a great project. Like I said, tons of unpaid labor, right?
Yeah.
Favors, calling all of your friends and family to support a project. Every caterer, every location is oftentimes volunteered for that first project. We're trying to jumpstart the economy with this program, and also provide the funds for people to do things the right way and still be ambitious.
Can you talk about the state of the film industry, where it is now and where was it before?
So we're starting to boom here in Minnesota. So just yesterday it was announced that Nicolas Cage is going to be starring in a film that's shooting here,
wow.
Which we're really excited about. Dave Arquette just wrapped on a film that was shooting in Rochester that we're excited about. And we have right now 14 different projects in different stages of production across the state. But we're starting to get more notice outside of the state thanks to the work that we're doing at Explore Minnesota, and we can be happier.
Yeah, what do you think that does for people maybe potentially thinking about getting into the industry? Sometimes, we could feel like that too about television because so much has changed over the last several years. But what do you think that does, and that piece of information does, for someone who might be interested of jumping into the industry?
Do it. Simple. But then also I would say that, the media industry is widening, and there are so many more ways, and everyone has a camera, right? And so there are tons of opportunities to get involved. We're seeing, for example, verticals are applying for the tax credit. We've got our first crowd-funded feature, Mystery Science Theater, that applied, and then we'll be premiering in about 2 weeks, which we're thrilled about. So I would say that, what it says about the industry is that there are doors that are open, and we want you here.
Have people started to use the funds already?
Yes.
Through this grant? Oh, okay. Got it. And we've seen it play out in great ways already.
For the grant program, those folks just got announced, but for the tax credit, that's active.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And then I'm curious too, how many people are you seeing as far as like maybe younger adults or maybe kids wanting to get involved in the film industry? Are you I know you kind of mentioned like a little bit of a growth, but as far as like the younger audience, is that something that they find interest in?
Definitely.
Because so much has changed. I feel like even, you think about movies and going to the movie theater, I feel like so much has changed as far as, I feel like we're starting to get a little bit of a boom back, but we kind of died off a little bit with going to the movie theaters. Of course, you have streaming and all the things, but yeah, I was just curious of what you saw, from younger adults.
I was recently at a film showcase for Somali filmmakers a couple weeks ago, and I was stopped by these two young girls who were like, I have a story to tell. Look, listen to my pitch. Here are the beats. And I was like, this is incredible. Keep going. I can't wait to see this film. And so people of any age can make a great film. And we are trying to give them the tools to stay here in Minnesota, bring their friends to come and visit, and show us what they can do.
What was your background? How did you get into it?
I always wanted to be a filmmaker, and I didn't know anybody that did it. And so I thought, okay, I'll be a film curator, kind of be on the side, work at festivals. And I found my way through working in philanthropy and funding into this position. But I wish that programs like this had existed when I was younger, for sure.
Yeah. So even the programs have changed too over time in what's being offered. Well, that's great what you guys are doing. Anything else you wanted to share with the audience about the grant, but just about any other programs moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say for folks looking for a fun date night, in the next 2 weeks we will have, date night. Whether you want to be cozy or go out, we've got a bunch of Minnesota films that are going to be premiering. There's going to be a film about the Minnesota Olympian Jesse Diggins that's going to be streaming on all platforms coming up. And then also there's a film called If I Tell You that will be in theaters next week. So look for those and see you in the movie theater.
A lot of fun things. Well, we appreciate your time now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And proud of you for all that you guys are doing. That's great.
Thank you so
Helping
much.
a lot of other people. All right, almost 3 o'clock. We're going to take a break right now. We'll be right back after this. right, it is 3 o'clock now on your Thursday. We are finally starting the beginning of this hour with our headlines. We couldn't start at 2 o'clock because we actually had the union rally going on with DFLers, and so we just sort of dove you right in, and now we're just going to dive you into the headlines that we have for this afternoon. So a couple of things. We are watching a big one. And if you are a traveler, you'll want to hear this. The Blue Line rail trains have reopened today. This is after months of construction. So these are the Metro Transit Blue Line light rail trains. This is between Target Field and also the Mall of America. So you have a big gap there. A lot of travelers had to depend on those Blue Line buses in the meantime because that construction was happening. But today, the day is here. It is finally reopened. So the construction, though, if you're just having questions about that, maybe you want to know what exactly happened during this time. We do have a couple of details about that. The construction was to upgrade signals and equipment that would improve the reliability of the trains. Travelers might notice some new yellow posts and also new customer information with those train times and, of course, any alerts that you need to be aware of. So these changes, of course, taking place while you might know this if you've lived here for quite a while. The discussions about extending the Blue Line just continues as they have for years now. I was actually checking the website and I got a little bit of information from this, from Metro Transit. So there's a proposed 13-mile Blue Line extension that would connect downtown Minneapolis to some communities up to Brooklyn Park. And there was a meeting that was actually scheduled yesterday by the project's decision board. That meeting was canceled. So I looked into when the next meeting was, which will happen next month. And that is on September 16th. But what is happening today? So again, I mentioned it will reopen. Blue Line trains are now moving and running. And our Bill Keller, morning reporter, spoke with Metro Transit this morning and has a little bit of that. Let's take a listen.
We're really excited. So Blue Line trains are back up and running, full Green Line. Things are going pretty good. You know, we're dealing with a couple delays in spots, but the teams are troubleshooting. We're flipping around one train right now. The next one's coming behind. So we're getting everybody where they need to go.
Were you able to calculate how much added time the average commuter had because of the bus service?
Yeah, the buses were almost twice as long, depending on where you were going. From the mall all the way to downtown, that was the case. Shorter segments, not quite as long, but trains are going to be much faster.
Yeah, good news, right? Trains much faster. He just mentioned that the buses were taking twice as long to get people where they needed to go. So today, of course, some good news. We also had an interview with him as well. A little bit, I think it was a couple of months ago. It was our Kelsey Carlson along with Randy Meyer. They talked to him at the beginning of this project, and he did say it was expected to take about 52 days. We are right on time for that. And because the Blue Line has been around for so long, about 22 years now, Metro Transit says that the changes were necessary to keep it up and running for years to come. Of course, you have to make those tweaks when you have things that are a little older. And your question might be, will you see any of the changes? Again, I mentioned those yellow posts, also new customer information as well. And the construction timing was also very strategic. Of course, when you think about the state fair starting, they wanted to have sort of some of that buttoned up before so many people are in town to go to the Minnesota State Fair. Another headline we are looking at that you should know about, and another good, this is sort of in the transit category too, Highway 280 reopening after months of construction. So if you have plans to head to the State Fair, I just mentioned that, you'll be excited about this news. 280 is reopening after being shut down in April, so it has been, several months. MnDOT says they are on track to be open before the start of the fair, which the fair does start next week. That's Thursday. I believe that day was August 27th until Labor Day. That's September 7th. So if you're thinking about where this is located, so this is between I-94 in St. Paul and Highway 36 and 35W in Roseville. MnDOT crews were working on resurfacing some of the roadways in that area, making safety improvements to nearby bridges and sidewalks as well. So they say that this will create some improvements and smoother rides, of course, for some of the riders as well. And then following the State Fair, lane and ramp closures can be expected again. So this is sort of an ongoing project, but crews are working to limit traffic disruption. So the project is scheduled to continue through the year of 2028. This is including possibly removing the left turn lane from Highway 280 to Broadway Street. I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you, but we do have some of this information on fox9.com as well. You can read through our articles on our website. But this particular area, when I talk about Highway 280, 80 in Broadway Street is one of the main routes in and out of East Minneapolis. And then MnDOT also said that this turn lane there is one of the most dangerous intersections in the Twin Cities. So when you think about the priority list, this is definitely one of them. And so they'll continue working on this project. But speaking of the State Fair, because of course we have to talk about that, right? It is exactly 1 week away from today. Paul, if you're in there, feel free to jump in, my friend.
1 week until the State Fair.
Are you excited? Or wait, you were here. Were you here last year for the State Fair? I can't remember.
I've been to a couple of State Fairs now.
Okay.
Do love a State Fair.
But however, this is your first one as a father.
Yeah, my first one as a
Little
dad,
Oscar.
and he's going to be 12 weeks. I don't know if it's too young. Is that too young? Right
Paul.
in. Is that too young to take him to the fair?
Listen, well, I would probably say that. But when I tell you, I'm not knocking anybody, but there are parents who literally show up to events and things when their baby is fresh out, like 2-3 days old. The baby's super tiny, and they're at an event.
We've been pretty active with bringing him to things, but I just wonder about the
You think it's too
There's
much?
just so many people. It's loud. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I don't know.
Write in. Let me know whether I'm being overly cautious, because maybe I am. Maybe
I don't think
I'm
you
being
can
a bit
ever
of a
be.
worrywart.
I don't think you could ever be overly cautious as a parent, because I do the same thing. But I will say, I think after having the first, it's because it's your first one. And I was like that too, and I'm still on my first one. However, I feel like my son is 4 now, and I'm like, at this point, if and when I have a second one, I can see why people do it. Because A, you want to expose them to all of the germs, right? Which sounds bad, but like they have to build up that immune system. And so you do sort of want them around that. You also want them to get used to voices and sounds and that kind of stuff.
Well,
But
I vacuum
totally
underneath him
understand.
all the time. He'll be sleeping, and I'm like vacuuming underneath the bassinet.
And then he
to
has
be
like one eye open, like, here dad goes again with that vacuum.
You need to learn to sleep when it's noisy. I'm not going to be one of those dads that tiptoes around
Oh
the
my
house.
God.
Yeah.
You can't be. You have to turn the TV on and do all the things. I did want to ask you, Paul, what's your favorite part of the State Fair? Like, is
That
it
is
the food?
a very good question, and I was going to ask you the same one.
Okay.
But my favorite thing, I don't want this to sound like I'm an alcoholic, which I feel like becomes a bit of an issue that I say all the time, but the State Fair is like such a joyful experience, but you get to potter around and try all the different flavored beers, like the pickle beer and the s'mores beer and the donut beer. There's a bunch of all different ones this year as well, and I think it's just so fun to get to like wander around and experience all those different things, and to be able to bring that joy to adults is amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's just different. Something like you wouldn't normally have, at a restaurant or a bar.
I'm not ordering a pickle beer while I have my dinner. I can tell you that. But at the State Fair, you know what? If it's on the docket, I might have it.
Anything goes. I will say they make pickle everything these days, so you're trying it.
Pickle pizza, pickle beer, pickle ice cream.
Are you a pickle guy or what?
You know what? I love a pickle. I love a pickle. What about you?
Yeah, I love a pickle, especially on my burger. Like
What
I need that
about
on a
at
sandwich.
the State Fair? What's your number one thing you're looking for?
I go straight to cheese curds.
Ooh.
Just because, of course, I worked in Wisconsin. Of course, you're talking about cheese curd capital at that point. But I don't know. Everywhere that I go, when it comes to a festival or anything like any outdoor events, if you're selling cheese curds, I want to try them.
Yeah.
Just because everyone's different. I don't like this super stringy cheese, though.
The ones at the State Fair they could be the best
chef's
ones I
kiss.
think I've ever had. And I'm always amazed at the efficiency of the State Fair. Those people have it
I know.
down. You line up, you look at this huge line waiting for cheese curds, and you think, I'm going to be here for hours. And next minute, you've got a giant bucket of cheese curds in your hand and you're outside. So, yeah, I think aside from the beer, I'd say the thing I'm most looking forward to at the State Fair is the food.
Yeah, I almost forgot about the corn, too. Have you had that yet?
Yeah, the corn. It's
So
great. It's so good. I'm going to try something. Let me see if I can bring this up.
Okay.
Here we go. We have been asking people on fox9.com/all day what they are most excited for the State Fair. Have a look at some of these numbers that are coming in. Food, much like you and I, Simone, most people are looking forward to the food at 36%. But the thing that I want to draw your attention to is that 22% of people, the Grinches, the joy killers out there, that think that they're looking forward to it being over. What is with that, Minnesota?
Well, I think because maybe, just maybe, I haven't lived here long enough, but maybe if you have been here for quite a while, you've done the State Fair, right? Over and over again. Some people love that and some people don't. And maybe some of those people are people who live near right? And then you have to, because I always think about the people who live, near a fair or a big festival that happens annually that has to be really annoying. But you also make a lot of money sometimes depending on where people park, because then you charge them for that. But
that is also the other most amazing thing about the State Fair, is seeing these people with their side hustles of like parking cars. And it's like that. Have you seen that game that you can play where you're trying to like get the car out of the box? You've got
I think so. Yeah,
one car like a little bit, and then you move another truck, and then you move. That's what people's front yards look like. It's amazing.
Serious operation.
People are making serious bank selling their front yard to the State Fair.
And it's like, anything from like $20 to $50 just to park there for, an hour or however long. I wonder if they also have time limits too.
Yeah,
in their driveways.
Probably. Yeah. And if you want to join that conversation, please head to fox9.com/all day and let us know what you're looking forward to about the State Fair, because it's everyone's State Fair.
Yeah, it is.
And I think it's Erica Mrazek's first Minnesota State Fair. I think. Is that right, Erica?
Here, so first time at the State Fair.
Erica, okay, are you going to answer the question too? So what are you most excited about for your first ever Minnesota State Fair?
Okay, a couple things. The thing I've been saying the most is I'm in the 7% that wants to see the animals. I want to see a cow and a pig, because I saw a video one time of Ian from a few years ago pig walking and I was like, this is the funniest thing I've seen in my life.
Have you ever seen the competitions?
No. I'm not.
Oh, girl, you have to see that. I remember the first time I saw it, I was mind blown, because sometimes you have like these teenagers or younger kids who are literally training, their pigs, and it's amazing to watch how disciplined they are.
I guess they listen. They're maybe like dogs, like you can train them.
But you also have like this little, I don't know too much about it, but you also have like the little stick, and then you hit them on the side.
Don't you kind of like whack them a little bit?
Yeah.
Like a little gentle tap. That's what I meant.
Exactly.
Not a whack. But yeah, that, and then I also heard there's a wine bar, and then I also want to try the pickle beer. So.
Okay. Oh, you are into the pickle thing.
Yeah, I don't love pickles, but I feel like at the State Fair I would have a pickle beer.
Yeah.
I
feel like you just have to, right?
Yeah, because I'm from Pittsburgh, and in Pittsburgh we have Picklesburg. So every July,
what is that?
It's a festival where you just celebrate pickles, and it's every July, and you get there's like pickle everything there. So there's pickle beer, pickle margaritas, pickle pizza, pickle hot dogs. Pickle everything.
Okay, a pickle margarita is a little too much. I love my margaritas too much to add some pickles to it, but all of the other stuff. So I love a fried pickle. So anything along those lines is my thing. Erica, I wanted to tell you too. I was looking outside of our window, and it didn't look very pretty.
No, it did not look very pretty. Yesterday looked a lot prettier. Today, some clouds are moving in. There's an area of low pressure that's going to go south and east, bringing a cold front to the area. So that's bringing showers, rumbles of thunder, and potential storms throughout the area today. So past few hours, there was a cluster of some showers, some thunderstorms, kind of went from right through Brainerd over towards the east, stayed north of the Twin Cities metro as the larger cluster. And then a few more isolated showers, some rumbles of thunder pushed through the Twin Cities metro and some places south. And then there's going to be another chance for the line to kind of redevelop into parts of the afternoon and potentially bring a few strong storms. But here in the metro right now, it's dry. There still is a couple showers, though, in northwestern Wisconsin, and these are headed south and east. And then overall today, it is pretty cloudy, a couple breaks in the clouds, but not as bright as yesterday. Temperature, because it was cloudy, only reached about 77, so running about 3 degrees below average. And across the area, a whole lot of 70s, few 80s towards the west in places like Detroit Lakes, Morris, Marshall, and then some places even in the 60s. So Hinckley at 66 degrees, you have 67 in Ely and 69 in Hayward. So in some spots, temperatures are really staying lower with the cloud coverage and the wet weather. So currently 77 here in the Twin Cities metro. There's some higher dew points than yesterday, so it's feeling more humid, not as refreshing. So relative humidity up to about 62, a light breeze from the south-southwest. So that's what's bringing in the muggier air. So showers and storms through today, and there's the chance for a few of these to be a bit stronger throughout parts of your late afternoon into the evening. So here's a look what that could look like. This map starts at 4 today, and then you'll notice right around the middle of the state, yellow popping up, that's a level 2 out of 5 risk for some strong storms, and then around that's a level 1 risk. So time frame looking to be about 6 p.m. to midnight as these go south and east. And then the biggest risk for this is going to be wind and hail, and there's also a very, very low end threat for an isolated tornado. And then after midnight, they just keep going south and east, and then the area should be quieting down, and then things dry out for tomorrow for the most part. So after that, it's going to be a sunny, warm weekend, just beautiful, high temperatures in the 80s, and that's right around normal for this time of year. And then into next week, temperatures look like they could stay in the 80s, Simone. So perhaps for the start of the state fair, low 80s, maybe even mid 80s for later next week. Simone. What?
Paul is in.
Sorry, I was trying to do.
Do you have something to say about my forecast, Paul?
You know what I was trying to do? I was trying to work out how to bring up this other shot at the same time.
Yeah.
And so back here.
Multitasking. Yeah, it's hard.
You know what they say, men can't multitask. I shouldn't be here.
Should have brought me or Simone in there. We could have.
Yeah, we could have handled that.
Should have asked Grace or Kara.
Yeah, that's right.
Men.
Just
kidding. Just kidding.
Thank
You're
you for
fully
joining us,
capable,
Erica.
Paul. Yeah, you're welcome. I'll be back.
He's pressing a lot of buttons in there. All right, Paul, where are we going after this? Are we hitting a break? Okay, we are going to get a break in. It is 3:16, and we'll be right back with more on Fox 9 All Day after this. Have you been excited about the Viking season? Of course, we are in preseason right now, and today it is day 2. We have made it to day 2 of the Vikings joint practice with the Baltimore Ravens. Things went off as expected, I think we would say yesterday. So now we are in the second day, and earlier today we heard from head coach Kevin O'Connell, who spoke with the media. Let's take a listen to some of that.
It's great to just get, different techniques to play against, different looks for our defense, different ways of trying to, play the game than maybe they get from us. Great work for our preparation. I thought, they're a really good football team, physical. You can see they put together a really good roster. It's great work for our whole whole entire team. I was proud of the way our players competed. There's kind of we've done enough of these now to know exactly what the expectations are and the standards, and it can rise to a level of intensity that I think is really, really good. We didn't have much from a way of anything we needed to address with our team, and I'm sure today will be the same thing. We're going to work our way into the red zone today. You guys will see us do that. We'll get a little bit more kind of that 2nd and 10 into a 3rd down kind of drill that both of us like to do, and then we'll finish with a 2-minute for a field goal to give everybody, all the fans, give the people what they want, which is Will Reichert finishing the 2 days out here. But excited about what yesterday was, and a lot of work to still do today.
All right, so again, you were just listening to head coach Kevin O'Connell of the Vikings talking about day 2 of joint practices with the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, we have another preseason game coming up that will happen Saturday. So all of them out there playing to get them ready for that, and of course to get them ready for the actual season, which begins on September 13th. We have had, of course, our sports reporters out there since the team started practicing again. And of course, getting ready for these games. Don Mitchell, one of them. Don Mitchell out there today at TCO. Don, we just heard from Kevin O'Connell. He talked about how he was proud of the way that, his players competed. What did you see out there? What did you notice today?
Today what I did notice is the offense last time out, at the end they got going, where we saw Kyler Murray throw a bomb to Justin Jefferson in double coverage, and it was a touchdown to actually win it and to end the practice. But today it seemed like it was more of a well-oiled machine. They're getting to know the Ravens defense perhaps a little bit better. They worked on some things, so that seemed to be better, like the communication, the clicking, everything seemed to be better. And all the veterans are quite frankly saying they're liking this, especially Justin Jefferson, who talked to us after practice today. He said, I never play in a preseason game, so this was really good for me to kind of get against a different team, get in sync with Kyler Murray a little bit more, and all the guys echoing that down in through the other teams. We saw J.J. McCarthy being a little bit better in terms of all of that. Miles Price with a touchdown yesterday. He said he's getting to learn the system. And it was really good to see Devon Claiborne, who yesterday he didn't protect the football. And that was one of the things that KO said that they were working on. Like, he's got to learn, DC's got to learn to protect the ball. Well, today, DC protected the ball and got into the end zone. So a lot of things that they're keeping their eye on yesterday. The defense, once again, doing a great job against Lamar Jackson and company. So I would say that the last 2 days against the Ravens have been highly successful, Simone. And no fights, not even a lot of chippiness. Yesterday, there was a little bit of chippiness, but I think they pulled it off quite well.
I think chippiness is okay, as long as we don't see other things, which we have seen sometimes on other teams. Exactly. But, I mean, of course, you have a little animosity there. It's a joint practice, but you're also playing against one another, and then you're, of course, getting ready for another game. Don, of course, we have been, over and over again, I feel like for the last few months, we talk about the QB situation. And, of course, we know Kyler Murray is behind it. And yesterday, I think it was yesterday, right, where it was the pass that we were talking about to Justin Jefferson. How has he been looking, or how would you say that he's gelling with the team so far in what we have been seeing during these joint practices?
Yeah, the two joint practices, I think just getting in terms of he and Justin Jefferson, Jets always likes to say, I want my quarterback to trust me. Like, throw the ball up, I'm going to get it. Just trust me. Throw me open, if you will. And we've been seeing more and more of that, especially yesterday on that touchdown. It was a trust factor. And the timing, just getting the timing down. Kevin O'Connell said this is one thing that a quarterback he does not like hearing. He said, Drew Brees said it in his Hall of Fame speech, you never want to say, I didn't see, as a quarterback, I couldn't see my receiver. So that was kind of a joke when people were asking, with Kyler not being as tall, say, as some of the other quarterbacks, can he sometimes not see them? And he said in one of the meetings, he looked at me and goes, I know I'm not supposed to say this, but I really couldn't see him. So there are some plays like that they're going to design around him. Obviously, they can't make Kyler Murray grow 5 inches. That's just not going to happen. So they're game planning around him. But Kyler has all those other skills. But it's defense. Getting that trust, especially with a Justin Jefferson. He kind of overthrew Jordan Addison today, but there was a lot of pressure coming at him as well, which is why it's great to have the Ravens here, because it's that pressure of another defense coming at you that you're not aware of. After a while, you get to know your own defense. Speaking of the Vikings defense, though, safety Theo Jackson went down with an injury today. So already the safety room is getting depleted. So we don't know the status. He did get up and walk off on his own, but he was down for a little bit. So we'll keep an eye in the next couple of days on what's going on with Theo, because that's certainly not a room after losing Jamal Adams already that we really want to see decimated. So hopefully it was just a tweak, maybe sore. We'll find out more about it. But all in all, the Vikings defense looking really good, like I said, and the offense, nice to get their timing down and work on these other things.
It's good that they're doing well on defense, but also not good, to hear about more injuries, because I remember us talking about Adams. And I mean, I guess you can remind our viewers too, Dawn, if you'd like, on just because it was the same injury, right? But was it a different leg? I can't remember exactly what it was, the specifics for him.
Well, yeah, he tore his ACL, and we all know that he's dealt with that in the past. He actually Jamal did meetings with the safety room and telling his story, just his long, and that wasn't his only injury, just his long journey back to not only recovering from his injuries, but to playing well. Like even last season, they showed that Jamal Adams is back, and he showed it early on in that practice in which he ended up getting hurt at, in the preseason game. So he had that one great play, and everyone's like, oh, this is what we needed if Harrison Smith isn't coming back, which is looking more and more unlikely that he will be. But you just don't want to see any more injuries. So the fact that we saw today Theo get up and walk, and it wasn't like he was limping. He didn't have to be helped off the field, but you could see it was a little scary. People are holding their breath for a little bit. But we're hoping he's going to be okay. And
I feel like I should ask this too. I know J.J. McCarthy's sort of thinking in a backup situation. What is his, role on the field right now? What does that look like during these joint practices?
Yeah, well, especially so, KO said yesterday, J.J. McCarthy is my number 2, because everyone's asking that question after J.J. did not have a great outing against the Giants, and then we saw Carson Wentz come in, and people saying, is he going to be the number 2? He says, J.J. is my number 2, but I want a competitive quarterback room. He wants that to happen. He goes, and then we'll see what shakes down. So J.J. knows that. J.J. knows he has to keep earning his backup spot. Kyler's already been named number 1, so he has to keep earning that number 2 spot. And we saw, like I said earlier, the offense maybe just getting on both teams, first and second, getting a little more ease in their communication and whatnot today. So there was a pickoff. JJ did get picked off, but the good news is the defense also had a pickoff. So James Pierre with a pickoff. So there's good and there's bad, especially when you're going up a team like the Ravens. I kind of sick of hearing iron sharpening iron, but it is the truth when it comes to this point of the preseason, especially so for the veterans, because they're not going to see a lot of action in the preseason. This is when they can hone their techniques, get their eyes going, is what they're saying. They love going up against Lamar, the defense does, so they can learn about their gaps and their, all the schemes and all of that, just so they can get their timing down, their technique down. So I think the last 2 days have been highly successful. They've also enjoyed each other team-wise off the field. They've had some social things. So all in all, it's been a really good 2 days, and it rained for a little bit, but not that bad. And we lucked out. The skies are pretty nice here. Also, in addition, Governor Walz was here earlier today saying how much, the Vikings have meant to the state of Minnesota, but also how he still kind of wears his coaching hat a little bit when he comes out. And Randy Moss back here for a second day. Miles Price saying, Randy Moss sat next to me in the receivers room. He was giving me tips. He knows my name. So the younger guys really getting excited. And even Justin Jefferson saying, I just love it, because he's always giving me pearls of wisdom and telling me, hey, on this play, have you ever thought about this? So, Randy Moss here for a second straight day has also been helpful, in addition to, of course, the Ravens.
A lot of good information there. Don, I'm glad the rain held off kind of a little bit for you guys. But as you mentioned, Governor Walz, it's interesting to hear people's reactions too when you have certain people in the room or, outside there. And it's like, ooh, who's that here? And then yesterday, how you talked about Randy Moss. So it's interesting to hear some people's reactions. And when you think of people a part of the Vikings, it's just cool. I think we'll let you go. Don, I know you got to get back out there and watch all the things and, of course, join us later. But we want to play a little bit of sound, I think, that we have from Governor Tim Walz. Let's see if we can do that right now.
Yes, we are going to do that. I've just got to work out.
You need a second? Okay, sure.
I just need a second just to get myself here.
Okay,
and I just want to mention as well that you can watch the Vikings preseason game that's happening this Saturday on Fox 9. That will be at noon. There's Game Day Live starting at 11. And you can watch that. You can also stream the preseason game. If you head to fox9.com on the day, there'll be an article there that tells you everything you need to know about how you can actually watch this preseason game against the Ravens. All the details there are on fox9.com. But like you said, yes, I just need a little bit of a second to get this Governor Walz played up.
I got you. Don't worry. So Don, of course, there at TCO as we talk about the Vikings. You heard Paul just mention there that we do have that other preseason game coming up Saturday. And I feel like people just have been really excited just to see what the Vikings look like for this year. As Don mentioned, you have Kyler Murray as QB. This is going to be the first year that we're all, going to see him and how he's gelling with the team and what he brings. So we'll have to wait to see some of that. That will happen again on Saturday. But right now, Paul has this soundbite from Governor Tim Walz from earlier today at TCO. Let's take a listen.
From my house in Mankato. And so we told the stories about when the players would walk down and throw the ball around at our practices and stuff.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah. I said it's not the positive story, but I remember when Demetrius Underwood left camp and went down there, he was at the West football field, which I lived across the street from, if you recall.
Yeah.
A lot of stories in
I
Mankato.
remember him going AWOL.
I was going to say from there, we're not sure where.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe. I was saying this, I was like, we were asking, superstars to sleep in a dorm with no air conditioning and walk across the street, and they got to eat at Jake's Pizza, which was great. But so it was something. But well, glad you're all here.
Does this bring back memories of coaching two-a-days?
Yeah, I said it's exciting. I said I don't think you ever leave that, and I said after all these years, I still feel internally identify myself as a teacher and a coach, which is kind of fun. But coming out here, and of course the Vikings are such a big part of it. I was just mentioning to Lester and the team, a lot of these players were very visible during the Special Olympics USA games. My wife was sitting on that board and just so grateful. She said it made such a big deal to see them come out there and watch some of these athletes. And I've always maintained that our pro sports teams, in Minnesota are so heavily invested in the community. So sometimes sports is good just to be sports and all of that, but it's many times bigger than that. So I keep thinking about it. They were great to us, and Mankato, we didn't know how good we had it, having right down the street from the school.
How much is being here a nice escape from your daily grind?
It is a nice escape from my daily grind. I said I'm going to do a lot more of this, I think, in about 4 months, and so, but it's all part of it. And as I said, I've just become great friends with the organization, and you just the things when times are tough. And I always mention about COVID, how about this organization opened up their building, they were there to help and all that. Just when the state needed them, they were there, and been proud to work with them. I oftentimes tout we're the only place in the country that paid off a stadium early, and we got the best facility in the country still, so that's all good stuff. So come out here, say thanks, and then like you're saying, just escape a little bit. Life can be fun at times, and that's what we should remember.
Governor, it means a lot to this team, too, that you went to Dublin, you followed them overseas, and now here. What did they tell you about your loyalty and your love for them?
Well, I'm glad that they say that, and I wasn't a hex on that. It was fun to go see them play. And I said I got a weird opportunity to get a friendship with Jerome Bettis, who was there at the time, and to try and talk to them. But it was such a great thing to see there and to see our state being represented in Dublin. I remain incredibly optimistic. I mean, I think this team, as I said, they're well run, they're set up. I think the game has passed me by some when I watch it. It is such a passer game now, but to just see it, and I guess the thing about sports is that you get a fresh start every time. So it's brand new. We're 0-0. So we'll see how it goes.
And there's no way you can maybe write an executive order to kind of get them for a
I know,
title?
that's what I said. But I am going to take a little credit. We did a trade mission a few years back, and we were in Australia, and we were in Melbourne. And of course, Melbourne is the sports capital of the world, and they were talking about wanting a game, and now we're going to have an NFL game in Australia. It truly is a global sport. And when you see the excitement, it was really fun in Dublin. And then I know they went on to London, but in Dublin, just the excitement of bars, Irish bars turning themselves into Vikings headquarter bars, and just good excitement. And then to watch that game in that stadium where they play the Irish games and things, it's not a modern NFL stadium, but man, it felt quaint in there. So
Time for one more.
yeah.
How excited are you to watch Kyler Murray?
I'm excited. As I said, I don't know enough about this, and I think this team is so well-rounded. I think it's the NFL. There's no way you can get away that everything's about the quarterback many times on this. We've got 3 in the quarterback room that I think are going to be fine. I think to see Kyler get this done, and they'll make the decision. He's the guy right now, but I think any one of them can step up. So glad you're all out here.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Governor.
much.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Fox 9 all day. Thank you for hanging out with us this afternoon. Of course, it is only Thursday, but we got to get you ready for the weekend, and we'll do that by talking about a fashion show that is going to happen this Saturday. It is called the Gents League Fashion Show, and I have 2 people that are a part of this event, and I want to bring them in now. This is Kimberly Holyfield, producer, I should call you. Also, your favorite silver fox.
Come on now.
Rob Beloy, you just hopped off of an airplane from where, Atlanta?
Yeah, Atlanta.
And sailed right into us.
I did. First stop.
Couldn't even do anything. Did you even eat? You just got here and then just walked jump right in here.
I had to make sure I got something to eat.
Okay. That's number one, priority. Talk to us about this fashion show and bringing it here to downtown Minneapolis. What was I know you do this, right? Typically.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, my first stint with Minnesota was in 2023. It was the Twin Cities Hair and Beauty Fashion Show. So that's Expo. And so that's how I was introduced to the city. Okay. And so I knew at that point I wanted to be a part of the community and made a couple more visits here. And I said whenever I get an opportunity, I would definitely want to bring the Gents League fashion experience. So I've done it all over Atlanta and different areas. And I'm happy to bring it here. Number one, I love the city and the community, and I love to work with those that serve with the community. So that's how I'm working with Kim.
And I noticed you have it in August. Now, are you from Atlanta? I know it's hot. So you come in here when it's nice and warm.
That's right. Yeah.
But not in December.
Right. I know my seasons.
Exactly. Smart man. Kimberly, talk to me about just your involvement in making all of this happen.
Oh yeah, I mean it's been amazing. Of course, he said we got to bring it to Minneapolis, and so it was just my job to make sure that it happened. And so it's been phenomenal, just being able to reach out to some of the local designers to be able to be a part of the show. Black Business Enterprises and Nancy Corsaw welcomed us with her venue, and so it's just amazing to be able to put it together. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm so excited for Saturday.
So you mentioned designers, you have models. What can we expect to happen? What will this look like over the course of a couple of hours?
Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. So we have a spoken word artist who's going to do an amazing piece, Marie Shante. We have Jediah Steele that's going to be playing, she'll be singing, and we also, with her band, there's a saxophonist, and I mean, it's going to be an amazing experience. But we have some actual local store owners, so like Marquise Armstrong, and we have Michael Cole and Mikhail Davis, just some local, the purpose, Trey Styles and Love Batista, the purpose was to be able to let the community know that there are shops where men can actually, purchase some, beautiful attire, just some really nice suits, but then also to show them how to dress, right? How to be styled. And so, and I know, go ahead and elaborate on it, because I know that's a part of your mission is...
Yeah, so when I created the idea of bringing fashion to the community, one of the bigger pictures was mental health within men. And so that's why it's an all-male fashion show, because, historically, you ladies have taken over the fashion series. So it's almost...
How dare we?
It's a give back and tribute to you all as well, but it's also a celebration because a lot of men have been going through so many things and have been suffering in silence. So not everybody is an international model or have a lot of experience. A lot of them come within the community. So everyone that models has a story, and that's one of the requirements to be a part of the fashion show.
Can you share anything? What are those stories like?
Yeah. For some have went through anxiety, depression, things like that, PTSD, and just maybe even someone that may be dealing with reentry. So it can be from any walks of life, but most importantly, we want to show the community love and get that love back. Yeah. And it's encouraging and supportive for all our gentlemen.
Yeah, you talk about men suffering in silence. We know that happens way too often. Was it hard to get some of these people to sort of open up and be a part of something like this?
Yeah, well, I think because I do share my story. I mean, I am an Air Force veteran, and I've experienced, just family trauma, things that happen even in the military, to where trying to find resources as a civilian was a challenge. Unfortunately, my dad, he's a retired Navy. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to help with resources as well. So our nonprofit, Keeping Veterans Fit, is actually the charity that is also in support. So we get the chance to help not only the veterans, but the family members, because they go through things just as much as the veterans do as support systems.
Oh yeah, they're in it just as much, right?
Yeah.
When you mention your story and just the fact that some of the proceeds go there, why was that so important to you? Talk a little bit about your background and being a veteran.
Yeah, for sure. So my background, I went into the military right after high school. I wasn't going to go anybody's college, and I wasn't interested in picking up any type of skill, but I knew I wanted to help. I just didn't know what vehicle to use, so I went into the Air Force as a medical combat guy. And when I got out, it was hard to find something that I was passionate about. And so I took a couple of years just trying to find myself, and that's kind of where the struggle was. Being in a very contained unit, meaning in the military, it's almost a separate world when you come out. And so some guys just need some more direction, encouragement, access to resources. And so I know for myself it was hard. You know, it was really tough. I mean, even to the point of depression. And so just trying to navigate through that, trying to figure out who's your friend, who's taking advantage of you, who's really there for you. And so I wanted to build a community that I felt like I never had or that I was searching for. And so that's why we started a nonprofit in 2017. A couple of years it was doing well, and this weird thing called COVID happened, right? And so we had to pause. But we got back started, you know, just a couple of years ago, and a lot of organizations, entrepreneurs, other nonprofits have really helped. And so an extension for me, I wanted to create something to where, you know, you don't have to have a 4.0, or you don't have to be a PhD guy, or you might not be good at sports or something like that, but fashion is therapy, right? It builds a man's confidence. It also shows camaraderie as well. And once I created it, I knew that it was going to be bigger than me. So that's what I'm experiencing now.
And congratulations on what you have done so far. Kimberly, are they going to be dressed to the nines or what?
Oh my God. I can't
I'm ready.
wait. Oh my God. You got to be in the building, because I can't wait for everybody to see the fashion that is about to hit this runway. We also have All About the Culture who will be in the building doing interviews. So even for everyone in the audience, you'll get the opportunity to showcase your fit and really just talk about, you know, why you put this together and why you decided to be here today. So it's going to be an exciting event. I'm so happy that he even thought to say, hey, let's do it here in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, too, what was it like for you? I mean, just to listen to his story, the reason behind, you know, a lot of the move making. Why did you want to be a part of something like that?
So I also, I'm a mental health advocate. I was, you know, I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, and I was shot as a teenager by somebody who suffered from mental health. And
gosh. Wow.
Yep. And then I've also dealt with someone, you know, had a relationship with someone who suffered a manic episode, and so it was something that I had to learn. I had to learn like how to navigate it. I had to look at myself and realize that, you know, it's not just me, right? And so I think that it's important. So when he, you know, wanted to add that component, it was near and dear to my heart. And so it was important that we also do it here in Minneapolis.
I love that y'all have brought it here. Last question for you. How do you become your favorite silver fox? I just been waiting to ask you that.
Oh man, that's really cool. You know, there are some great groups out here throughout the country of men and just showing camaraderie and things like that. And so now when you say silver fox, I think that is something you do have to earn, right? Right. However, I am the CEO and founder of EGL, which is the Esteemed Gents League, and so that's something that I started just this year. So you can definitely go, you know, to my website, robmalloy.com, and get more information. But it's something to where it's not just seasoned men with beards and like to dress up. We actually start at 25 years old. So it's something to where there's a mentorship component to it. And so the seasoned guys get to learn from the younger guys, and then the younger guys get to take some notes from the seasoned guys. But it's all about growing personal development and style.
Yeah, a little bit of style.
Throw that in there.
Yeah, well, we have the information right there on your screen, happening this Saturday from 5 to 8 p.m. Kimberly, Rob, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, honor to be here.
It is 3:48 right now. We'll take a break. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Fox 9 All Day. Yeah, I have a couple of props with me right now, and we'll talk a little bit about, we'll share a little more about the salted nut roll in just a moment, but we wanted to talk about this bike ride that is returning, and it has something to do with this right here. So the candy-themed bike ride, it is returning for the 5th time. This will happen Saturday at 1 o'clock. And we wanted to bring in the co-chair of the St. Paul Bicycle Coalition. This is Andy Singer joining us now to talk about this. And just so we can learn a little bit more about this bike ride. Thank you so much for joining us, Andy. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay.
I'm actually the former co-chair of the bike coalition.
Former. Okay, let me make sure I jot
James
that down.
Slagers, who is the organizer of the Nut Roll, is the current co-chair of the bike coalition.
Ah, okay. So former co-chair. Okay. What are you doing now? Are you still helping out?
I'm still helping out.
Okay.
I'm repairing my house. I just finished repairing my house and like doing a bunch of other stuff that had to be done. So.
I understand. We all have this laundry list, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about this themed bike ride that is now returning. Tell us a little bit about it. I know we are in the 5th year. So just talk to us about what it was like over time, from the very beginning until now.
It's grown. I think James came up with the idea for it. And did it, organized it. And it was just, the idea was to promote, to get together as a group of people and ride around, but also to honor the St. Paul Nut Roll, which is a kind of unique candy that hopefully will be continued, well, hopefully they'll continue making it, but it's hard to say. And it's been in the Twin Cities, I think, since 1909, so it's 117 years old. And Pearson's Candy Company, who made it. Generally, we get together every summer, late in the summer, and ride from somewhere down to the Pearson Candy Factory, which is near West 7th Street in St. Paul, and then back to wherever we started from. And this year, it's starting and ending at Bang Brewing.
Why would you say it was important to keep this going? Of course, we have been reporting on the factory closing, but why was it so important, you think, to just to keep it going?
It was just fun. It's a fun summer get together. It's fun to get together with other people and ride bikes. And it was just in some ways an excuse to get together and ride bikes. But also, I think a lot of people, that little nut roll, the mini nut roll that you guys are holding, it's a great snack if you're riding a bike and you just need like a little bit of energy. And so it's a popular candy snack among bike riders.
Andy, you might be surprised by this, but I have not had one yet. So that's also why I have it sitting here on my desk, because I plan to try it. I like a lot of candy with peanuts, so I'm assuming I'll like this one. It was funny, I was reading through some of the information about this bike ride, and it says there will be nut rolls. All your favorite St. Paul nuts will be there.
Yep.
Hilarious.
That's the best part of it. Is it's a very social ride. It's like all ages and all abilities, and you're just kind of riding along with a mass of people, and you end up talking to whoever happens to be next to you at that particular moment, and it begins and ends at a brewery. So it's very nice.
And how long I'm sorry if you mentioned this, how long is it, and how many people are you guys expecting?
I would say it's probably like 15 miles, something like that, round trip, maybe. It's probably around 15 miles round trip, something in that ballpark. But it's a slow ride. I mean, it's just kind of a meandering down there, and then we hang out in the parking lot of Pearson's Candy and schmooze for a while, and then we bike back up to Bang Brewing.
I'm assuming it's been a part of like sort of just a community, right? Because especially if you have people who have come every year at this point, you see some familiar faces, but I'm sure you meet a lot of new people too, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. And like I would say that the bike community in St. Paul is pretty tight. Like everybody knows each other, or knows people who've been involved in the effort to get better bikeways for a long time. So and is familiar with rides and various other group bike activities in St. Paul. So yeah, you see people you know, and you meet new people.
What was the reaction from all of you when you heard that it was closing?
It's sad, they got bought by a Pittsburgh candy company, I think, several years back, and it's sad, it's just it's kind of an institution in the Twin Cities, and it's sad to see it go, and it's unclear whether they're even going to continue making the product, so we'll see.
Okay, well, Andy, we appreciate your time. Really quickly before we go, information about this event, time, and then the location as well.
It starts at 1 o'clock at Bang Brewing,
okay,
which is up, it's near the railroad yards. It's off of Raymond Avenue. It's near, and yeah, I can't think of the name of the street that it's on, but it's near Raymond Avenue, and it starts at 1 p.m. and I would get there like 15 minutes early, 12:45, and we'll ride down to Pearson Candy and then ride back and end at Bang Brewing.
All right, sounds fun, and hopefully it'll be a safe trip, and hopefully the weather works out too. So we hope that you guys have a great time.
I think it's going to be nice. It's good. The weather's supposed to be really great.
Awesome, Andy Singer, we appreciate you.
Thank you for promoting this on Fox.
Of course. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Okay, so as I mentioned, we have some of these. Erica Mrazek also here. To my
yes, exactly.
Whatever. Yeah, there we go.
For me.
Right. Yeah, I slid you one.
So I didn't see you slide it to me, and then I looked down, and I was like, wait,
magically appeared.
There's a treat waiting for me.
It was I, and Paul has it. So have you tried this?
No, I've never seen one before.
I have not tried it either, but
we're gonna try it right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're just gonna go for it, right?
I love an afternoon snack.
Everyone in the office took these when I was offering them. Every Minnesotan loves these things. Apparently, I've never
like
seen one before, so I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, it's like a payday, right?
I don't think I've ever had a payday.
Yes.
This is really good. I feel like it's healthy because it's a nut.
Protein.
Yeah, it's like it's candy, but it's not like, oh, I'm eating sugar.
Yeah, you don't feel like it's too sugary.
Right. I'm looking at the nutrition facts.
I agree. Oh boy, she's reading the labels.
I don't think they're
Never
actually
read the
on
label
here.
of candy. Erica
Well, they're
Mrazek.
actually
That's rule number one of candy.
Lucky for you guys, are actually not on here. It's just the ingredients. They don't have any nutrition facts.
Yeah, well,
so it's probably
we'll
for the
take that.
better. The universe didn't want me to know.
Can I also put you on blast for a second, Erica? So when Erica walked through this door, all I hear is literally in the middle of the interview, Erica's like,
sorry.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
I guess I do that a lot. I just did it whenever you were
Computer.
outing me.
She's whatever you had with Velcro. I'm like, oh my God. She
I
has
needed
the loudest
to plug
materials.
in my computer.
No, I understand.
Because it's dying and it hasn't been charged. You know, I don't roll my cord, the charger cord, and you know who rolled it was Ian, and he Velcroed it last
course he
week
did.
when I had it out. So if he didn't do that, you would have heard no Velcro, so you can blame that on me.
Okay, I will blame him for that later. But I just was like, oh, Erica's here.
I'm kidding. It was nice of you to roll that up.
But weather-wise, of course, we just had a couple of people on with an event on Saturday. So a lot of people are, of course, looking at the weekend, which looks okay.
Really good, yes.
Right? Today just doesn't look that good.
Right. Today is cloudy. Yesterday was beautiful, but then today things changed. The wind shifted to be out of the southwest, so there's more humidity. And then I also have some graphics if we want to get those up. Southwest wind bringing in higher dew points, and then there's also a system moving in from the north and west. So when you have a front moving through some muggier air, you get the chance for some showers and storms. So there is that. We already saw a few today. They were not severe, but there is the chance for a few of them to turn strong to severe later during the evening into the early overnight. So about 6 p.m. to midnight for about the central part of the state, and then those will go southeast. So threats are wind, hail, and very, very isolated low tornado threat, but mostly just for wind and hail. And those are scattered, so it's not for everyone. And if you do see it, though, you could get some rainfall, perhaps about 1/2 inch, but some places are going to get 0 inches. So really just depends on if you are lucky and get the rainfall, since a lot of areas do need it because we are in a drought.
Yeah.
And then after that, things look great. For Friday, there's a very low chance for an isolated shower, rumble of thunder. Most are going to miss out on that, mostly for northern Minnesota, so for people heading up to a cabin for the weekend. So that could happen Friday. And then Saturday, Sunday, sunny, beautiful, low dew points, so not humid, high temperatures 80s. And then after that, temperatures could get slightly warmer next week.
Well, good job remembering it, because we never had, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Giving
Paul
Paul
up
a little
here.
grief right here.
Paul, don't worry. This
he's
is my
working on
day
it.
3 of working this week, so it's
stuck
it's
in
been
her
working
brain.
in there for already 3 days.
It's okay. She was gonna show the graphics, but it's fine. I mean,
we'll save them later.
I
day
wanted
by
to
day.
say I wanted to bring the graphics, but just having a few technical issues with getting them in because there's some stuff.
okay.
But we really appreciate you, Erica Moraes.
Appreciate you guys too.
yes, bring the sunshine. I'm just
It'll be
glad
here.
the weekend looks good, which is nice.
Oh, it'll be perfect. I have a lot of walks planned, so.
Okay. Well,
I don't think that was it.
Paul.
Here we
Oh
go.
my God.
Do we still want to see it? We'll still look at it. Okay, we'll take a look at the radar because that's there's some stuff going on right now. So showers, storms going from northwest to southeast. You'll see they're not widespread, but there are a few. And I want to zoom in on a couple areas. So there are a cluster of some showers and storms right around Sibley County. These are headed south and east. They are currently not severe. And then also another cluster of some showers and some rumblers. That's in northeast Minnesota. And those are also headed south and east. And those are just going to be popping up for the next few hours. So just have the umbrella ready, have your alerts, have your phone turned on for if we get alerts and things like that. So,
all right, sounds good. I think we're all set. All right,
amazing.
Thanks, Erica.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
The family should not be in a position of having to beg government officials to do their basic job, to do the work. They're asking for accountability. They're asking for the names of the shooters to be officially confirmed. And they're asking the federal government to not block the state government from doing its work.
So you just saw there the name right there. That is the attorney for the family of Alex Preddy, who was, of course, killed during Operation Metro Surge. We saw a lot of things play out, of course, over the course of several months during that time. Paul Bloom here, of course, joining me now. Paul, you spoke with his attorney. What did he have to say? And why did you want to speak with him, I guess?
Yeah, well, that's Steve Slisher. He's a former federal prosecutor who now represents the Preddy family, so mom and dad who now live out in Colorado. they are fighting for answers, really. And I think you heard some of the frustration there. We're working on some long-term projects about the impact, the lasting impact of Operation Metro Surge on the community. Obviously, the fallout from the two deadly shootings, Alex Preddy, Renee Good. And what's interesting, and you heard briefly there from Steve Slisher, is the fact that they still don't know the names of the agents who killed Alex Preddy. They are still scarred by some of those early remarks from top Trump administration officials. I mean, I'm sure you can remember that news conference where Greg Bovino referenced that he was out to massacre with the gun. Remember,
Kristi Noem
alluding to domestic terrorism. So not only did they lose their son, they never heard anything from the government on it. Like there was no official, phone call. Your son's been killed. They had to find out about it on the news, on social media. They still haven't heard at all from the federal government. They're skeptical. We know, we've heard from the Hennepin County Attorney's Office, the Attorney General, Keith Ellison as well, that the feds finally shared information. Remember, that was the crime scene, the shooting scene, where
BCA,
local authorities had gotten a search warrant to enter the crime scene, the shooting scene, and the feds kept them at bay, and they hadn't shared information. They hadn't shared the case files. The state filed an unprecedented lawsuit in federal court demanding the evidence, demanding the case file. We know that has since been turned over. But Steve Slisher, on behalf of the family, is still skeptical. Like I said, he still doesn't know the names of the agents. That's never become public. I did reach out to the BCA today, or in the last few days. The BCA knows who the agents are. But they are citing a statute in Minnesota that because these agents were, quote, undercover, their names can remain out of public consumption, the public eye, out of public sharing.
Really?
So yeah, so investigators know who shot and killed Alex Preddy. And then tonight, I wanted to get on with you guys earlier in the day, just because tonight at 9, we're going to sort of compile some of our interview with Steve Slisher. We're going to take a look at several of the other cases, Renee Good. I've been on the show a couple times this week about the extradition situation. We have an ICE agent in jail charged down in Texas. Texas governor won't sign extradition papers. The state has gone to federal court to bring that ICE agent back. But we just kind of wanted to sort of compile all these cases and show just how difficult it is as Minnesota, as individual parties try to seek some accountability, some justice, some of the hurdles people are running into. And then we'll have our full report coming up, on tonight's 9 o'clock news.
I'm curious, did the family attorney talk about just how abnormal it is to, not have a name because officers are undercover, or, from hearing, you mentioned some of the things from Kristi Noem and Bovino. Did he talk about just how abnormal this is?
No, and Steve is, I know you're somewhat new to the Twin Cities, but I mean, Steve prosecuted, special prosecutor in the Derek Chauvin George Floyd murder trial. He spent more than a decade at the U.S. Attorney's Office. So he's a federal prosecutor. He's charged. He's prosecuted police, law enforcement misconduct cases. So no, this is absolutely unprecedented. The no names, the no sharing, not even allowing the BCA to get at the initial scene to collect evidence, what witnesses were spoken to in the immediate aftermath. And he, separately, he has met a couple of times with the United States Attorney here in town, Daniel Rosen, but Daniel Rosen apparently didn't leave him with any confidence about what actually was shared. The Hennepin County Attorney has suggested they have what they need to move forward. Slisher is a little bit skeptical, dubious of those promises, just based on what he heard from the United States Attorney here in Minnesota. All of it. I come on, whenever I'm on this set, I kind of feel like we use the term unprecedented, but so much of it is really we've never seen before. And, the Renee Good situation, I know eventually the car was the SUV that she was shot and killed, and that was eventually turned over to the BCA. But yeah, we'll take a look and kind of update everybody on where all of these cases are. And Mary Moriarty, I asked her at a news conference earlier this week how close we were getting to a charging decision, at least in the Preddy case, because that was the focus, given that I had spoken to the family attorney today. And she said they continue to grind away at the evidence. She wouldn't promise any timeline about when she'd make an up or down decision, but she said that's coming in due course. Keith Ellison was there. He chimed in. Our office is working on it every day. So perhaps in the coming days, we'll get a decision from that office. And of course, Mary's on the clock with her time in office. And Mary Moriarty, she's not running again. And in November, there'll be a new Hennepin County attorney. So if she wants to make a decision before she leaves office, she'll have to do it in the next couple months.
And Paul, you kind of alluded to this too, during the time, and we kind of got to walk people back, right?
Yeah.
Because this happened several months ago. But when you think about, some of the evidence that was on the scene, you had federal agents there. The BCA kind of locked out of that. That sort of took a little bit of time. So is it sort of on a delay? And you talk about Mary Moriarty and Ellison's office saying, we're working on this every day. Did that come, is this in a delay now because of, some of the things that we saw play out at the beginning?
Well, you do wonder if they had, complete access to the evidence.
Right, what this will look like.
If officers at the scene had arrested those ICE agents, I mean, that probably would never have happened. But no, you do wonder how much, this could have moved along much quicker. I mean, obviously a much different situation, but I think back to the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin situation when those officers were immediately charged. And that just took days, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one, sometimes these cases do take, do need to be thoroughly investigated. Decisions have to be made. Evidence has to be critiqued and assessed. Reading the letter of the law. And of course, this was conducted under, they were here. I know there are different political opinions on what people see in those videos of what happened to Mr. Preddy, but they were here as agents on assignment for the federal government, and how those cases get charged out at the state level. This was going to be a complex case no matter what, but certainly because of the lack of sharing, the lack of cooperation, the lack of transparency at the beginning, no doubt has stretched this out. Over the summer, I can't remember the exact date, but maybe mid-July, I think Mary had that last news conference where she said the government finally turned over all the evidence.
Yeah.
So I don't know kind of exactly, what her timeline is moving forward, but they were trying to gather their own evidence. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
They had opened up like a portal where people could contribute, cell phone videos, and if you were there, so they were collecting their own information, as was the BCA. The BCA was doing what it could with what it had, but then the feds turned over, what we understand is a pretty significant amount of evidence, though. As you heard from Steve Slisher, they're still skeptical if everything has been turned over and just how thorough the Fed's efforts would have been towards, a charging decision. Because of course, I'm thinking the agency wouldn't want to see their agents charged with a homicide in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, and then especially thinking of the emotional toll that it was already putting on communities, and then to add that, right after. But when I think about emotion, I think about, the Preddy family. So since you did speak with the attorney, I'm curious of where is the family at emotionally? Did he discuss that? Did he talk about how they are feeling now? And of course, you hinted to, hearing certain things during the time when it happened. But now that we're a couple months later, where are they?
I mean, I still would describe it as emotionally ravaged by what happened. I remember one comment Slisher made about, if you think there's no way, losing your son to, violence at the hands of the government, the words that followed, made it even worse. So, I mean, the grief, the heartbreak of that, and then on top of, in their opinion, having their loved one, their sons, or he's a brother, name sort of dragged through the mud. And as Steve points out, the government hasn't really retracted the statements, right? I mean, he says if I went looking on social media and through the government's pages, I'd still see some of that early description of him as a domestic terrorist is out there to massacre law enforcement, and that hurts. I mean, it hurts. Their son's memory, obviously. There are people differently, certainly, who see what happened that day or what led up to it differently. I've seen we've at Fox 9 have reported on some of the touching stories out of his work at the VA clinic. Alex Preddy is a 37-year-old nurse who grew up at the VA hospital. He grew up in Wisconsin, neighboring Wisconsin, over by Green Bay, and then some of the lives he's touched. Those stories have come out, it is worth noting, of course, that the people who were most who spoke the loudest, had the loudest bullhorn at the time, the Gregory Bovinos, the Kristi Noems, both of them, you'll note, are no longer with, the Trump administration. So you wonder the impact, what happened in those days in January here in the Twin Cities and the state of Minnesota had on the future of their careers.
Yeah, there are so many things that we saw play out, I feel like, so quickly, right, over the course of Operation Metro Surge. And then when we saw, Kristi Noem, of course, no longer there. Greg Bovino, same thing. Remember, he was pulled from Minnesota.
What's wild, though, you talk about that, is it's if you go back and just look at the dates, it happened so quickly, but good. The shooting of Julio Sosa Solis into the house, the one that we're talking about.
We saw
the warrant.
some video from too.
Because the allegation is that officer lied about being attacked with the broom and the shovel, and then Preddy. That's all just a 2-week window of 3 shocking, uses of deadly force by the federal government. 2 American citizens killed, a Venezuelan immigrant injured, fleeing into the home that day. So, and that all happened in a 2 to 3 week, in the heart of January. And, it just goes to show how much this community went through in a really short amount of time. And so I think tonight we're just sort of kind of taking a look back at several of those cases, just, teeing them up so people know where we are in those. We thought with, again, my recent conversation with the Preddy family attorney, combined with, what's going on with the warrant, trying to get that agent Christian Castro back here to face charges, and Mary and Keith Ellison, Mary Moriarty and Keith Ellison, still needing to make charging decisions in Preddy and Good. We just thought it was a good time to sort of lay this out, and I'll be back on the Fox 9 newscast tonight at 9 to talk about all that.
Yeah, because there are several other cases going through the courts in other parts of the country that, like you mentioned, the Texas extradition.
Yeah, Texas extradition. Just this week, earlier in the state of Maine, there was a fatal shooting where immigration enforcement officers were chasing an immigrant in Biddeford, Maine. It's not far from where I went to college, Bates College up in Maine, but Biddeford. And House Democrats went up to Maine just in the last few days to hold what they called a shadow hearing. They're frustrated by the lack of cooperation. It's you read the coverage in Maine of what's going on. It matches to a T what's happening here. Not sharing information. Family frustrated. Don't know the agents' names. No body cameras in that situation. The family's frustrated up there that there were no body cameras, and an immigrant who wasn't the target of the enforcement operation that day. The way I read the news coverage is they were going after maybe his roommate or something, but he was shot and killed, and that's happening in Maine right now. And so no, this current effort by the Trump administration, this no tolerance, illegal immigrants, deportation, get them out. It has consequences, and sometimes tragic. And hearing from the Preddy family attorney, you as reporters, you're kind of away from it a little bit, but when you're kind of in a conversation, you really do, you feel the pain that obviously some people are feeling right now.
And you'll explain that, you said, tonight at 5?
I'll be on at 5, but the full story will run at 1 on Fox 9 at 9.
Okay. And then we can find that on fox9.com. Paul
Yeah,
Bloom,
of course.
Appreciate your time.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, it is almost 4:20. Here, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. for staying with us here on Fox 9 all day. We have been getting you ready for the weekend. We had people on talking about a fashion show, also a bike ride, and now we want to talk about this event that is happening in the Lynn Bohannon neighborhood. So I wanted to bring in Marlena Okechukwu, the neighborhood coordinator for the Association of Lynn Bohannon. So let's see, Marlena, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you.
So we know this is the first one, right, in the community. Tell us a little bit about this event and what we can expect on Saturday.
It is. So it's the first one, and it is the result of a business district support grant that's offered by the city of Minneapolis to nonprofits to basically activate commercial corridors throughout the city. And Lindale Avenue North is considered a commercial corridor, and there are quite a few vibrant businesses in less than a mile. You have blacksmiths, barbershops, holistic restaurants, herbalists, what else? Childcare, cafes. There's just so many businesses along that corridor, and having lived in that community for close to 10 years, I recognized that that was a space that I wanted to highlight. So we're excited to welcome our immediate and extended neighbors to the neighborhood this weekend.
Yeah, you mentioned your familiarity, of course, with the neighborhood, and I'm sure they're near and dear to your heart, but what are you hoping that people get out of when they come there and when they see all of these businesses? Of course, you're going to have, some of it blocked off, but just to be able to visit you guys and to be a part of the community.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, we'll have just a section of that corridor blocked off. But what we're hoping is that folks recognize that this is a vibrant business district similar to West Broadway or Lowry Avenue or even Penn Avenue. And that you can come, you can walk the corridor. Again, you can grab something to eat. You have places like the Camden Social where you can listen to live music and grab a drink. Food bank, eatery. There's just a lot along that corridor for people to engage in, and it's a walkable corridor, and I'm hoping that folks recognize that the same way that I do.
And also something for the kiddos to get ready for school, right?
Yes, absolutely. We are hosting a backpack giveaway. Thank you. Almost forgot about that. But yeah, we're hosting a backpack giveaway, and so again, we're hoping that we are just helping a little bit for our neighborhood kids to be ready to go back to school. And so we have some notebooks, pencils, papers, all of those things, crayons that will be in those backpacks and helping parents out just a little bit.
Okay.
And then, of course, there'll be food and, again, live music and activities. And so it'll just be a lively opportunity for people to come, again, and learn about this corner of North Minneapolis.
Yeah, and it sounds super fun. Marlena, I know you got to get going, but really quickly before you go, you want to tell us a time where we can find you, all the things?
Yep. So it will be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, August 22nd, and we will be between 46th and 45th Streets on Lindale Avenue North.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Marlena. Hopefully a lot of people come out, and then you could just keep this going for years to come.
I hope so, too. Absolutely. And you all can look for me. I'll be out there along with the rest of the folks from the Lynn Bohannon Neighborhood Association and some special guests. So come check us out.
Ooh, okay. We'll have to come to see who those special guests are. Marlena, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Man, we are really getting people officially ready for the weekend. It's so funny because I feel like people start planning for the weekend on like Monday. Or should I say Sunday? Like as soon as Sunday hits, it's like Sunday night, what am I going to do for my plans for next weekend? So we talked about a fashion show during the last couple of hours. We also talked about a bike ride in particular because we've been talking about the salted nut roll. And then now you have in the Lynn Bohannon neighborhood sort of festival going on there, in the first ever, which if you can visit it, I would certainly say you should go do that. Okay, so a couple of things we're watching. One of them is this press conference that is supposed to begin right at 4:30.
Yes.
Paul, I haven't been able to look through some of the information. Do you want to share?
Our amazing photojournalist team, I think they're accompanied by Mike Manzoni as well. They have managed to get out their last-minute press conference that we've just been told about, ready for 4:30. So the fact we've got a shot up there ready to bring it to you as soon as this thing starts.
Okay.
What we've got, information that I have here is in regards to state fair gang injunctions. So what we're thinking we're going to be hearing is some more specific details outlining who is not able to go to the state fair, like the rules that are in place around it. I can also see that I've been attached to this, and we're going to try and get it for you as a graphic. It's a map of that shows the area that is going to be a no-go zone for those gangs or those people associated with those gangs. So just waiting for some more details here. Like I said, I can see a shot here. The shot is up. Not entirely sure who it is that we're expecting to hear from, but keeping a very close eye on that so that when that happens, we will bring it to you live.
Okay, sounds good. I know we have been following a story in particular about muddy gangs. For instance, we've seen this sort of play out. Keith Ellison discussed a lawsuit in relation to gang members because they have seen these incidents play out where there have been fights and other things going on at the state fair. So that's why you mentioned sort of that no-go zone. They're trying to just keep people safe.
Yeah.
We also saw some things from the Wisconsin State Fair. I'm not sure, Paul, if you saw that too.
Yeah, that horrific footage coming out of the Wisconsin State Fair of violence. I mean, this is a place that people are meant to be having a lot of fun.
Yes, and with children as well. So you talk about people wanting to feel safe and comfortable going to some of these public events with their families. So this all seems to fall under the same umbrella. So
yeah, this is this. I have the map here.
Okay.
A safety zone that's being proposed. I'm not sure if that's embargoed until the press event has actually taken place. So what I'll do is I'll just hold off on that and find out some information about it. Interestingly, we were asking people what it is that they were looking forward to about the state fair, and during it made me quite sad. I'm just going to see if I can get a preview here of this. People saying this, which leads us and dovetails quite nicely, unfortunately, into the press conference that we're about to be hearing from, coming in from someone called Elvis. It used to be fun, but due to the violence and other contributing factors, I haven't gone for a few years now. Prices are also a factor. I mean, to be missing out on the state fair, the great Minnesota get-together because of violence, it's just a horrific thing to be hearing about.
yeah, and it looks like I'm looking at this information. Let's see on this press. Is this? Yeah, it looks like it might be involving Ramsey County Attorney. As I'm looking at something, this also popped up. Ramsey County Attorney John Choi, Minnesota State Fair Police Chief Ron Naffa, and also Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. So we are watching that. I just saw another email pop up too that might have a little more information about this. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, so I might just have to read through some of this. So all of this is kind of playing out right now. We're getting a lot of this information that is coming in, sort of a press conference that we just learned about. So it was expected to begin at 4:30. As Paul mentioned, he's watching that to see if anyone steps up and starts
Here is the
talking.
live shot coming in. I actually don't have control over the sound coming in at the moment, so I don't want to keep it up for too long, but just letting you know that shot is live as you go. There it is. There's a mic check about to happen, which usually means we're not far off.
Okay, Paul, I just wanted to read this too. So this is what we're just getting in. So it says today, 4:30, AG Ellison, County Attorney Choi, State Fair Police Chief to discuss agreements and injunctions to prevent gang violence at the Minnesota State Fair. So they said they will hold a media availability to discuss the agreements and those court injunctions that they won today to prevent gang violence at the upcoming Minnesota State Fair. So we're waiting to see what happens there and what will be released today. Again, they are setting up, doing some mic checks, so we'll keep watching to see when that happens. But as Paul and I were just talking about, we have seen these stories play out too, especially out of Wisconsin. We showed some video over the air, I know last night I think it was around 5:30, and it was the video from the Wisconsin State Fair, and it was a huge fight that had happened there. I also think something involving an officer as well. But, when some people see these videos or hear about some of these things that are happening at these larger events where they sometimes bring their kids to, of course, that becomes a concern. So this just seems to be a part of that ongoing conversation. So again, we'll take you there when that happens. But Paul, it sounds like they're still setting up, right?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anyone at the podium at the dais just yet. What we do know is that it's taking place in St. Paul. I'm just waiting to see if I can actually bring this map up.
It looks like it's at the, well, are you talking about where this zone will be, or are you talking about where the press conference? Oh, okay.
It looks as though that this was a document that was filed in the District Court of the State of Minnesota earlier today. So I do think that I'm good to show it, but I just don't want to get us into a tricky predicament if I bring something up that's then been sent and is embargoed.
No, it's okay. We can talk about some of the information that we do know. I know I mentioned some of the lawsuits. We have some information here. 7 of the 10 people named in the lawsuits agreed not to attend the state fair or entered a designated safety zone around the fair. And these are the restrictions that will go throughout the entire fair. So you talk about it starting on Thursday, 1 week from today. That's August 27th. And this says through September 8th, and I believe that the fair actually ends on Labor Day, which is the 7th, so it seems like it's an additional day. And it says that it's covering the entire state fair and the day after. The 7 people deny that they are gang members, and it says if they follow the agreements, the lawsuits against them will be dismissed after the fair. A judge has ruled that 3 other people are members of the Muddy Gang, because we've been talking about a couple of different gangs here in relation to some of these lawsuits, and also when we talk about some of these restrictions that are now in place. And it says those that are barred. Paul, you have this up right now. Okay, so this is the safety zone that we are good to show, right? Okay, Paul says we are good to show this, and I'm assuming they will also bring this up during this press conference that they will happen in the next few moments. But this is that zone that we're talking about, and it's in relation to these gang members and other people that they are now just trying to get out of these particular areas where a lot of people are, just trying to have fun with their families or friends or, people from out of state. You got to think about how big the Minnesota State Fair is. There are people who come from all across the country to visit during this week-long fair, and just a family-friendly event and activity that you want to do. And so we'll continue to, of course, follow the conversation, but I'm just reading a little more information here. I'm trying to do several things at once, but just trying to gather some information here as we get you ready for that press conference. It looks like the 3 people who are barred, it says, is from associating with known gang members, confronting or intimidating people, using gang signs, or forcing/preventing people from joining or leaving gangs at the fair. So some people might not even be privy to some of this. If you think about, people are probably like, what? Like gangs, coming to the state fair, people just might not know about it, but it sounds like that it is very prevalent, and that, and this is the reason why it has become such a topic, and why we are seeing these lawsuits and these things sort of play out in the courts.
Yeah,
as well.
and perhaps rather naive of me, but this is the first I've heard of it. And then seeing the violence, that video that you mentioned that was at the Wisconsin State Fair, this was the first I was seeing of this. I mean, understandably, a lot of people together, you introduce some components like alcohol, perhaps that's a contributing factor.
Oh, yeah.
But I just think that the state's having to go to this effort to make sure that this doesn't take place at this state fair means that we're talking about something that's a very serious, very, very serious issue here. Terribly scary. I mean, I wanted to bring up, and don't want to make light of this, but I wanted to show, what people were saying about the things that they were looking forward to for the state
let's
fair.
do that.
I mean, of our poll, I mean, it's not going to be up for much longer, but as you can see there, lots of people still very excited to go to the state fair. That's where our poll sort of landed as we head into this conversation. It's maybe a little bit puts a sour taste in our mouth, but people still looking forward to and excited about getting out to the state fair.
Yeah, I think for the most part, of course, people have more positive things to say than the negatives, but I think when you talk about just society as a whole right now in this world that we're living in, I think safety is always at the top of people's minds. And when you want to plan your day or your weekend going to a place that may involve a lot of people, of course, that is something that you would like to go to, and you would like to come back in one piece as you came there. So it's like, we talk about not even just the fair, but we talk about going anywhere, in places around the country. And we unfortunately see some of these events play out, whether it's on social media or you see it on the news somewhere or wherever else where these unfortunate events happen. And then it kind of just messes with your mind a little bit because you just want to be safe when you leave your home, and that seems to be the discussion today as well. So again, we are watching this. It seems like they are a couple of minutes late here. It was supposed to begin at 4:30,
Yeah, we're
but
expecting
no one
a
at the
4:30
podium.
kickoff. Yeah, no one's still at the podium. I want to bring you one a message that we've had from a viewer, Lars Johnson, which brought a smile to my face. Something that we missed in the poll, an option that we missed to be able to put, was we should have had people watching as an option on today's poll. You know what, Lars? You're right. You're absolutely right. Apologies for that.
That is so
That is
true.
a really fun part of the state fair.
It is so true because I know people who go to the airport just to people watch, or when they're, of course, if they already have a flight out, they just like to sit and just watch. Whether it's for, I don't know, you want to see the outfits, or you just want to see people and how they interact and act in public. And I think people watching is a big thing, and I think rightfully so at the state fair.
There's a lot of people to watch at the state fair. There's a lot of
people, a lot of things. Yeah, there's so much going on at the fair that it's kind of like wherever you turn, it's just a different, if you can make it through the crowds. Because I don't know if you saw this when you went to the fair, Paul, for the first time, but I just remember you can sort of see some of the things kind of on a hill. And when you look into the crowd, it's just so packed and everyone's just all together and so many people. So
yeah.
It's like, whew.
We timed a visit from my friends from Australia to come so that they could go to the state fair.
Yeah.
Was that? Couldn't have been no, it wasn't last year, but the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just like, what is this? It's just something completely, we don't really have anything like that in Australia. But yeah, the state fair is just this massive event, and so it's good to know that people are obviously taking the safety of it seriously with this press conference. I can see someone currently at the podium.
Okay.
That might mean that we're getting away soon. Let's just take a live listen in and see what's happening there.
Good. Better now?
Looks like we're not far off.
Yeah, so what typically happens during these moments, of course, you have several media members in the room, and people have to get set up. They have to make sure their audio is working. You have to make sure the podium's audio is working. And so what they're doing right now is just in the setup process. And sometimes that takes a little longer than others. So that's exactly what we're doing. It's just sort of setting up and then waiting to see and making sure that we are all good to go in order for us to hear them, because we definitely want to do that. Paul, I can totally go through some of our other headlines if you want me to do that. Okay, that sounds good. So if you were not joining us at the top of the hour, or maybe 3 o'clock too, I know we're on for a chunk of time, so I just wanted to mention a few things that we have been following for today as we wait for that press conference to begin. The Blue Line rail train, speaking of the fair, this is right on time. So they have reopened today after months of construction. So these are, okay, do we want to, instead of me getting into these headlines, I think we see Attorney General Keith Ellison. Let's jump in right now. Let's just take a listen to this as we get ready.
Hello, everyone. My name is Keith Ellison. I'm your Minnesota Attorney General, and I'm proud to be here with my colleague and friend, John Choi, Ramsey County Attorney, to announce that together we've been able to secure injunctions in 2 civil lawsuits that we filed against 2 metro area gangs and 10 of their members for threats that they posed to the safety of Minnesotans attending the upcoming Minnesota State Fair. It's our hope that this action will make the fair safer and more secure, understanding that the fair is secured and protected by very able law enforcement, and everybody should feel confident that they will be safer. Our office is identified through several social media posts in July and August that indicated 2 of these rival gangs, Minneapolis-based Muddy and South Metro-based The Ville, after Burnsville, had planned a large violent confrontation at the fair. I love the fair. It's some of the fondest memories I've ever had in Minnesota were at that fair. In fact, I got a picture on my desk with my wife and I standing in front of the logo of the fair. And it was just pointed out to me that, hey, you got a fair picture in your office. So we love the fair. I go three or four times every year. It's an annual tradition for me, along with hundreds of thousands of Minnesotans. And it truly lives up to its name as the Great Minnesota Get-Together. And we're simply not going to allow violent activity to endanger the safety of fairgoers. We will protect people's right to have a good time at the Great Minnesota Get-Together. And that's a period. In response to our civil lawsuits, 7 of 10 individuals, 3 associated with Muddy and 4 associated with the Ville, have entered into enforceable agreements that they will not attend the fair or be anywhere within the designated safety zone around the fair for the fair's full 2-week duration. So they're doing more than we were asking the court to grant, which is they're just not going to be there at all, which is good news. If they comply, once the fair is over, Ramsey County Attorney's Office and my office will jointly dismiss the legal action against them. The 3 remaining individuals, all members of the Muddy Gang, either did not appear at all or contested the allegations against them. Ramsey County District Court today found that these individuals are indeed members of Muddy and granted the state's request to prohibit them from associating with other known gang members, confronting or intimidating anyone at the fair, using gang signs at the fair or within the safety zone from August 27th to September 8th. As our offices requested, the court also declared that Muddy is in fact a criminal gang, as defined by Minnesota criminal law and referencing Minnesota's civil gang nuisance law. This is an important win for safety at the fair in the state of Minnesota, because threats like these that we've seen this year and have led to real violence in the past at different events, including prior state fairs. On the last night of the 2024 state fair, 3 individuals were shot and wounded in a nearby parking lot after exiting the fair. The shooter was a Ville affiliate who was looking to hunt Muddy members. They later pleaded guilty to second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon. At last year's fair, a video posted on social media showed Ville members fighting members of a rival gang near the Midway, causing panic and sending people running for safety. This is something we are committed to preventing. With that track record in mind, once we heard these latest threats, it was an easy call for our offices to step in, not only to protect fairgoers, but to protect even these young men from making decisions that could irreparably harm even their lives or their futures. We want to prevent, and that's the goal. My office routinely uses our authority under civil law to help prevent crime before they happen. Whether it's going to keep guns out of the hands of straw purchasers, as we did in our own settlement with Fleet Farm, or ensuring car manufacturers use industry standard anti-theft devices, as we did in the settlement with Kia and Hyundai, or working with local law enforcement and businesses to clean up neighborhood intersections, as we did in North Minneapolis with Merwin Liquors and Winter Gas Station, or our opioid litigation. We believe that civil action can be beneficial toward public safety, and this is an example. Again, very proud to be working with John Choi again, but he's going to speak to you right now. But let me also thank Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher. Let me thank the Attorney General staff. Thank you all. And let me thank the State Fair, in particular Chief Ron Nafla. I also want to give a special thanks to community members and to local clergy. This is not the only measure that is being pursued to promote safety. Members of the clergy, particularly in the Somali community and others, have been very responsive in trying to get people to comply and be safe and be responsible. So that is going on parallel to this action. A number of community members have been in this office and in others trying to get these young men to stop their behavior for the safety of all. So we're not only relying on legal measures, we also are relying on community ones, and that has been a very important thing. So my last thing I want to do is say a special shout out to the people who did the real work in this matter. And of course, I'm going to skip some, so please forgive me, charge it to my head, not my heart. I want to thank John Kelly of the Ramsey County Attorney's Office, Marcelo Neblett. Thank you, Marcelo. I want to thank Jacob Harris from my office, and of course, Keon Delsty as well. And all have pitched in to do a great job. And a special thanks to our law enforcement partners, who I'm sure you'll mention. Mm-hmm. So let me step aside. John Choi, everybody.
All right, well, thank you, Attorney General Ellison, for your remarks and great leadership here. You know, when people pull in the same direction and we have the right goals and we're working towards those same things, a lot of good things can happen. And I think what Attorney General, towards the end of his remarks, in thanking this great team that was assembled to do something that was really important. You know, oftentimes as the chief prosecutor of Ramsey County, we're responding. So, you know, those past incidents that we talked about at the state fair, it just all of these things, these horrible things that happen in our community, we're actually too late when somebody's been hurt and I have to get involved and we have to do a prosecution and hold that person accountable. The best part of crime prevention strategies is like when we do something like this, when we know that something could possibly happen, and certainly we had that intelligence. And I want to really thank the Sheriff's Office, Ramsey County Sheriff's Office, who were really fundamentally important to identifying like what was about to happen at the fair, and of course our state fair chief and their agency working collaboratively, because they had to do the investigation and pull this together, and of course the attorneys that all worked together from two offices to file a tremendous amount of paperwork to make this happen. But what you're seeing today as a result of all of the advocacy around prevention and deterrence, I think that we have taken a really important step. Number one, to get the message out that this is not okay. You cannot come to our state fair and plan that kind of violence, and we're not going to tolerate that. And we're going to do everything in our power, which we have done, to prevent that. And so this is a way that we can send forward our values and our message, which is simply that we will not tolerate this, and we will hold people accountable if you do anything that will disrupt the fair. And then the second part of this as well is, and the Attorney General talked about this, when police and law enforcement and community come together and they can agree on something and start working on a plan, what you see here is a semblance of the work around the civil gang injunction. But a part of that was the service of all this paperwork, right? And the messages that are sent to these gang members, and then community being involved as a part of that deterrence and prevention. That's a body of work in America. It's called focused deterrence. Those types of strategies actually work. And so we're putting that into practice here today, here for the state of Minnesota and in my community in Ramsey County. And I'm just so proud of the collaboration and the teamwork and the hard work that everybody has put forward. So thank you.
And so now we will invite up to the microphone Chief Nafla of the State Fair. I also want to acknowledge and thank Ms. Alexander for being here. We really appreciate you. If you'd like to add a comment, feel free to, but right now, Chief Nafla, everybody.
Thank you. I'd like to, as the others have said, say thank you to all the folks that put in the hard work to get us to where we are and make this happen. I really had the easy part. I had to answer some questions and submit a declaration to the court. But these guys here did all the hard work and made this possible, as well as the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office as well. The key thing here is we would rather at the state fair not have to do any law enforcement work. Our goal is for everybody to come out, enjoy the fair with their friends and family, and have a great time. So for us to try and eliminate some of these problems ahead of time, that's a big win for us. And again, it's all about prevention. But this is a key point. These partnerships that we've built over the last 5 years are really important, and it makes things come together with all the collaboration that we do throughout the year to keep that fair safe. And that's, again, that's our ultimate goal. That's our one responsibility that we have, and we take it very seriously. And like I say, my friends, my family, my 2 daughters, my 80-year-old parents love the fair. Many of them come multiple times a year, and if they asked me if the fair was going to be safe, I wouldn't lie to them. I'd tell them, I don't think you should go. But I'm not telling my family that because I believe we got the safest fair in the country. We've got the #1 best state fair in the country as well. So we're going to have a great time, 12 days of fun ending on Labor Day, and folks are going to come out and have a great time.
Thank you, Chief.
Hello everyone, Renee Alexander, CEO of the Minnesota State Fair, and I just want to reiterate what Ramsey County Attorney John Choi said is this is our state fair. The state fair belongs to the people of Minnesota, and it's about bringing people together to celebrate, and we are just so grateful and so thankful for these partnerships that make the fair safe and make it a real celebration of everything that is great about our great state. So thank you all so much.
So we can take a few questions if you'd like to ask any, otherwise...
This question is, I guess, for anyone who can answer it. What makes you so confident that these alleged gang members will abide by the terms of these agreements and won't just show up anyway? And if they were to, what policies are in place to kind of escort them off the property or identify them quickly enough to make sure that it stays safe?
In my hand, I have a court order. They are ordered by the court to abide by the court's order, and there are legal consequences for failing to do so.
Will they be arrested if they're seen on the grounds?
If the 7 who stipulated that they would not come at all are there, they'd be violating the court order, and then that order would be enforced. And that would entail law enforcement measures. The other 3 who contested, they are required to abide by a number of things that are stated here, like no association with no gang members, no intimidation, no use of gang signs, they don't force any person to join the defendant. There's a number of them, and they're stated on the back page. So in our original document, our request to the court, we believe that it was legal and proper to say, look, we're not saying they can't come to the fair. They're saying they cannot engage in unlawful activity, including what we've listed. So they would have to abide by those 3 things. If they do any of those 3, they're going to have problems. I'll let John and the chief answer how we would identify people and make sure that they're abiding by the order, which is probably what you want to know, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Chief, you want to do that part about how it's going to be enforced?
So we're very sensitive to the fact that we don't want to interfere with anybody that's out there to enjoy the fair. So we will rely on the expertise of the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office and some other partners that they have that know these individuals personally. So the only ones that will take enforcement action on them are those representatives from those agencies that personally know these individuals. If somebody sees one of them and thinks, hey, I think that's one of the guys that's on the list, we will first contact the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office, say, hey, we need somebody over here to take a look at this guy. And this is before any contact is made with that person. So we're very sensitive to not infringing on people's rights and to allow them to be at the fair and have a great time. And we'll rely on that expertise. Again, one of the benefits of the partnerships we've built over the last 5 years, that we can rely on these partner agencies to help us keep the fair safe.
So, Chief, they necessarily wouldn't be stopped at the gate. You would have to wait for law enforcement, for them to get on the grounds and law enforcement to identify them. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is correct. That is correct. But if one of the officers at the gates sees them and thinks they've identified one of the individuals that's named in the court order, they would contact the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office before this individual is even contacted. They would respond to the area. We may have somebody follow them just so we could point out where they are, and then the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office would make that determination if it's one of the named individuals.
Well, you guys have, like in court, one of the Ramsey County deputies who's involved in the gang investigations piece has knowledge of all these 10. You won't have Ramsey County deputies at the entrances kind of scanning people. It'll just be if it happens to show up kind of thing.
Well, I'm not going to determine where the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office is going to be. They are one of our partners. They may be at gates at one point or another, but they will also be wandering through the fairgrounds and you know, be wherever they're needed.
Chief, why not simply just deny them entry to the fairgrounds?
Well, that's not what the court order was about, and I guess one of the attorneys could speak to that probably better than I could. But the order was very limited, so I'll turn it over to John Choi. Maybe
Let me just repeat. I'll just say this again. 7 of the 10 are prohibited from coming at all. The other 3, they are restricted from certain behaviors that we believe causes a public safety nuisance. So, you want to take it? Yeah.
All right, you were just listening to a last-minute press conference that popped up this afternoon. This is involving state fair gang injunctions. Attorney General Keith Ellison saying that his office secured injunctions in 2 lawsuits involving Metro Minnesota gangs. We know that 7 of 10 individuals agreed to not enter the fair in what is called the safety zone. 3 members they say they have not heard from. The news at 5 starts. We'll have much more on this coming up in just a moment.
Thank you for joining Fox 9 for the news at 5. I'm So-Young Kim.
And I'm Tim Blotz. Here's what's coming up this hour. We're going to look at the future of flock cameras in the East Metro. St. Paul city leaders want them gone, while the county sheriff considers them essential. Also, we're going to talk about the status of a number of legal cases against ICE agents after incidents during Operation Metro Surge, including the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. We're going to hear from the Preddy family attorney. And with the new school year right around the corner, the impact of cell phones in the classroom, and they may not be